Hello, people. It's your boy Usmaan back again with another podcast. You probably noticed it's slightly different to what we normally do. We will be touching around football at some point during the show, but this is all about things that are bigger than just football. We're going to be talking about men's mental health, in particular, racism in society, of course, some of that within football, toxic social media, and of course, stigmas and how we can potentially overcome them. Obviously, you know, I'm a Pakistani lad. Haider, my special guest, is of course Pakistani. We want to, of course, you know, shine light on the Asian community as well. You know, a lot of people probably don't know much about our community on YouTube in particular, especially within the football community, because from what I've seen anyways, there's not many Asian sort of communities out there. So that's what we're here to do today. Hopefully you guys enjoy this kind of content. As always, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. But without further ado, my good friend, listen, the homie, for me personally, one of the best channels on YouTube, the masterclass owner, Haider, bro. Welcome. How you doing, bro?
My guy, Usmaan, I'm delighted to be back. You're basically the only podcast I actually do. If I'm not doing my own, I always, whenever you drop me a message, I always give you time, man. I always love coming on and talking football and everything with you. So, yeah, mate, I'm really happy to be on. And this is a really big topic that needs to be spoken about. And I have a lot of respect for you for doing that because, you know, people associate Pakistanis or even Indians, cricket. No one associates them with football. Absolutely. And you get that thrown at you, don't you? That, go and play cricket. And it sounds like something small, but there needs to be more Pakistanis and South Asians involved in football in every single capacity, not just, well, there's not enough on the pitch, but, in sort of the media and this new sort of form of media. So, yeah, man, really happy to talk to you about this. And I think it's an important topic that needs to be pushed out everywhere.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. Of course, as I've already mentioned, that is the sole purpose of this new series. I kind of technically started already with the first episode with Kish. If you haven't already seen it, to be fair, it's quite a while back. I'll put the link in the description if you want to watch that. That was myself and Keishan talking about men's mental health in particular. Again, open book. You know, at the end of the day, we're just human like you guys. Obviously, you see us on social media. Obviously, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm seen to get in too many arguments over there. I need to relax. But you see us as certain people, and obviously, we want to show you the truth and show you what happens behind closed doors. We're only human beings, you know, mentally, how we're affected by certain matters. And we're going to start with the biggest matter, which at the moment is affecting everybody, not just in the UK, but globally. Which of course is the lockdown. As we know, we've got the worst government in the world. But obviously, we're not going to go into politics because we'll be all night. Haider, listen, first and foremost, you know, I just want you to get your personal thoughts on how you're coping with the lockdown. How have you been during this sort of weird time?
Oh, mate, it's been a crazy year. I've had a really bad year, and a lot of people won't know that because obviously they see me on my channel, I come on your channel. You know how it is. As soon as the button goes live, you just got game face, haven't you? You just have to go. Doesn't matter what's going on behind in your personal life. You've got to you just got to get on with it. And yeah, mate, lost my job furloughed in March, July, got made redundant. Haven't had a job since then. Got my dream job. We'll be moving to Dublin when things, you know, sort of
listen,
relax
all the Irish people, look after my boy. I know.
Yeah, look after me. Look after me. Look after your brown brother.
Joe will be here at some point. So Joe, that's been
awesome. Yeah, mate, it's been really difficult. I've had a really difficult time, sort of personally as well, with the family, and we'll talk about a few of those taboos. But you know, my parents are going to get separated, possibly divorced. Had to move back after I lost my job from London, so I live just outside London in a not very multicultural area, so that's also a challenge as well. You know, it's been really, really difficult, but it's been one of those years where I've learned so much, and the podcast has been something that's been amazing, and just meeting all these great people. I met you in the summer, never would have met each other. And
the thing is, we haven't even known each other for a long time, but I feel like you're a brother, man. Literally.
Yeah, exactly, mate. I speak to you so much.
I'm on their case. I don't care who it is.
Mate, yeah, you've done that a few times. Even mate, me yesterday with you, I was like, what is going on? You know, obviously, or just you're famous now, mate. Troops retweeted you. No, look, honestly, it's been such a difficult year. Personally, I've had a really difficult year, but when you step out of it, now we're going into a new year. And loads of blessings as well. You got to take a lot of things in your stride. Your health is really, really important.
100%.
Family, although it's a little bit broken at the moment. The podcast, meeting great people. So it's been a really tough year, mate. But the world needed a reset. You know, you see what's on social media. I turn all my notifications off now. They're all off. I dip in and out during the day because you sing the worst of people, and life's more than sitting through just looking at your screen. It's ironic I'm saying that as someone who does a YouTube channel or a podcast, but life is more than what's on the screen. And you know, back in the beginning of lockdown, I'd care, oh, how many views have I got? How many subscribers I've got? Now I just don't check. It doesn't matter anymore because it means nothing at all. Just live life, and that's what I've been trying to do.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very valid point in terms of, you know, you said quite a lot. I do really want to impact the sort of your sort of personal life, because that's definitely something, you know, of course, I know you on a personal level because we've spoken of air, so to speak, but I know a lot of people who are going to watch this won't really know that side to you, wouldn't know that you've gone through those sort of turbulent times with your family life, but not even just your family life, with your job, being made redundant. It's been a scary time for a lot of people. And you've overcome that with so much positivity. Every time I've seen you on your platform, the way you've spoken is so eloquent. You would never assume there was anything going behind closed doors. And to be honest, that's kind of the scary part, because, you know, again, I don't want to name people because it's their story to tell, and hopefully we'll be able to get them on in the coming weeks. But I know other people that you'd see on YouTube are probably the most cheerful people that you'd ever see. And behind closed doors, they're really hurting. That, because obviously I know that because I've spoken to them obviously on WhatsApp and whatnot. And I think you're a clear indication of that. And to be honest, for me personally, I want to hear from your side in terms of how it's been for you going through that period, knowing that, as you said, it's game face, so to speak, when you turn to go live. And how have you been able to balance that out, your sort of emotions, so to speak?
Well, no, I mean, this is going really, really deep. I mean, people won't ever think this, but like, I'm in therapy. I've been doing therapy for 2 months. And that's accumulation, a lot of things. It's accumulation of, I'm not a big YouTube channel or a big podcast. I'm not, like, I don't pretend to be, but compared to where I was 6 months ago, I've grown so much. Yeah, and what comes with growing, there comes more hate, but also more love. And you got to remember that. And when I first started, I mean, you know what it's like. There's not many brown guys here. And people, one of my streams when Jamie Jackson came on, the comments weren't working from Periscope, which was actually a good thing because they weren't coming through to StreamYard. But what that people were saying was, oh, these BAME guys, they just do it for money. All of them are here. They just want to be YouTube stars to do it for money. Like, you don't know anything about football. Go, like I said to you off air, go back and watch cricket. And I never saw this, but what was nice was that a lot of people, you know, Reese, you know, on Twitter, Reese, who used to be part of Awful United, apparently loads of people going in on him. And but I never saw this, and it's probably just, you know, God was saving me, put it that way. But for me, what has been difficult is knowing that I've got to go out and put on a good podcast. There's people who are going through a lot of difficulties during lockdown. It's not just me. I mean, I've had messages from people say, you know, your podcast is the only thing that gets me through. Now, when you're hearing that, you're like, then I've got a big responsibility. It's just not me go on my camera and I'm just going. I've got to go and make sure that people are also able to get through their days. So, you know what? Like I said to you, turn notifications off Twitter, but I walk 5K a day, every day. I get up in the morning, I go. I just walk, put my headphones on and just go. Whether it's cold, whether it's raining, whether it's snowing, I go. And I just think it's really important to just embrace what's going on at the moment. And it's not me preaching, but just whatever's happening in life, like, it could be worse. And that's how I think. So that's what I do, that to calm down. And I just think that nailing down what I actually love about what I'm doing, because, you know, I'm not doing this for money. And some people are, and that's fine. It's a career. But actually doing this because I love it. And I did fall out of love with it. You know how it is. We've spoken a lot of times when the views go down. And look, views are important. They are important. Anyone that says they're not is a liar, because you're not going to get up and do it for 20 views. But when you have those lean periods, just remembering why I do this. I love Man United. I hate seeing fans misled by reactionary podcasts. And I don't like it when people put divides in the fan base. So that's why I'm doing it purely. And when I reimagined what I was doing, and when I looked at actually why I'm doing this, when that refocused me, it's just gone up and up and up. So, but the problem is as well is that I sit here and I think, well, I haven't got a job. My life is not going very well. Issues with my parents, COVID. And I'm thinking, look at all these bad things. But then when I looked at the podcast and I looked at what I was doing, I thought, you know what, this is a real positive. I need to be grateful for this.
Yeah.
God's given me so much. And that's how I do going forward.
Yeah, no, I think what I've taken from what you said, though, you know, obviously, again, we will come back to some of those things. But the thing that I've taken from that is the most important thing, and the thing that we need to be grateful for, are the silver linings. You said a numerous occasion, God saved you, you know, from those comments that you didn't see, because obviously you could have potentially reacted a certain way, or that could have deterred you from doing the podcast future down the line because of the abuse. Of course, we know a lot of people on social media get a lot of abuse, and that can mentally affect them. We are going to go into toxicity of social media at some point during this, but for me personally, you know, having gone through the lockdown myself, it's been very difficult for me. Of course, a lot of people don't know me. My brother's in the chat here, and you know, a lot of my guy mates, they'd probably say the same thing. I have put on so much weight. I know everyone has, right? But just to give people context, right? I'm just going to give people about what would be in 2021, about 2019, right? I ran a half marathon, so I was in that good of a shape, and I ran. Obviously, it wasn't a great time, but I ran a half marathon. Right? I was in fantastic shape, and all the lads that I was seeing on the videos now, they're like, "What the hell's happened to you?" And the thing, obviously I laugh about it. Obviously, at the start, it was hurting me and stuff, but the thing is, right, and I completely agree with you. The podcast is actually what has got me through this difficult time, because it gave me focus, and I noticed that. During lockdown, again, this is to all the, you know, I'm not expecting to get a lot of views, but if even one person listens to what I'm about to say, is when you're going through a difficult time and you've got, you know, everything, you feel like your back's against the wall, you need to look for your purpose in life. And that was the thing that I was struggling for the most. Like, obviously, you spoke about losing your job, you spoke about family stuff, and your purpose or your sort of focus was drawn back to your podcast. That was your shining light. And it was the same for me, not because the views were great, but it was my escape. That was my escape. And to everyone who's watching this, or whenever you watch this, or if you see this clip, you need to look for the things that keep you happy in this life.
The other thing as well, Usmaan, to add to that, sorry, quickly, it's also the community. Like I've surrounded myself with people like you. Like I said, we talk all the time.
Yeah.
When I had, you remember we were talking, and like I said, I was on the audio. Oh, I really appreciate it. Thank you, United Way. I appreciate that. It's amazing. Honestly, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful meeting amazing people. You know, people talk about negatives of social media, and we will talk about. Think about the positives. We would never have met each other. Like, where am I? Just outside London. You're up north, and we never would have met each other. And
I would personally class it as a negative, me and you, but you know, if you want to keep it as a positive.
Yeah, mate, you love it. No, but the thing is, you know, you always message me, and it's you and Benji. Benji always drops you a message, like,
Yeah.
and there's such nice messages, man. Like, you're doing so well, like, just out of the blue. And you know, I haven't met you guys in person, but one of the biggest things is surrounding yourself with people that actually genuinely want to see you do well. They genuinely want to see. A lot of people say, "Oh, go on, mate. I really want to see you get to 1K. I want to see you get to 1K so badly. And you're going to get to 1K
One day.
one day." But a lot of people say this. Oh, I want you to. I really want you to get to 1K. They don't. That's the thing. They don't. There's a lot of people that don't. And you surrounding yourself with.
I've seen that a lot, man. I've seen that a lot.
Yeah, surrounding yourself with people that actually don't want. That's something I've learned. Actually, I used to be quite a trusting person. I will say, trusting person.
Mate, if we could post our WhatsApp, you guys don't know about my hate as well. I literally see this guy as my younger brother. The amount of times I messaged this guy,
yeah, it's true.
And I said to him, "Stop talking to these people." People can think, "Oh, Usmaan was jealous." These people, right? They were big platforms, etc. And at this moment in time, Haider was blowing up, and he has been, alhamdulillah, and thoroughly deserves all the accolades. But he was really starting to blow up, and the amount of people that were starting to lick his ass on the timeline, and I could see it on the line of it. Because
you said it. You messaged me. Do you remember?
Bro, I remember. I messaged you obviously because it was who they're regarding. But the thing that I've always noticed is, right, and this is the beauty of struggle. And I want you guys to listen to what I'm about to say carefully here. This is the beauty of struggle. And there's one thing, and look, obviously I don't take quotes from celebrities often, but Oprah Winfrey said this thing, right? And she, but obviously, you know, just to go slowly into her past, she's had a very traumatic childhood. And she said, they asked her, how did she overcome it? And she said, through struggle, there's always an opportunity to grow. And since that moment, I've always taken that with me, and I've held it with me. And the reason being is, through struggle, you see the real people. Haider said, obviously, you know, you see, some people, not everyone wants to, you to win in your circle, and it's difficult to root them people out. And let me give you a scenario from and I'm going to say it straight up. My YouTube channel practically has died in the last 2 months. And obviously people will say, whatever they want to say, oh, my content's good or whatever. Listen, I'm going to be honest. My YouTube channel was flying. Obviously, Haider, you would know that, like, I went from like 200 subscribers to like 700 within like 2 months.
Really
like,
quick, man.
Proper flying. And I'm not even on 1,000 yet. So, and then I went on to like 800, and from 800 to 900, it's taken me about 3 months, like generally, to get 100 subscribers. So I gained like 500 in like 7 weeks, and then for some reason stagnated. But what the point I'm making is, within this period of it blowing up, everybody was DMing me for collabs, right? Everyone was saying, Usmaan, come on that channel. Usmaan, do this, do that, do that. And again, I was doing it because obviously I didn't care. As Haider said, I don't give a shit about the views. Of course, it does affect me. Don't get me wrong. I wanted to, I want to do well, but I didn't care about the views. I was like, let me help this guy. Let me help that guy. And obviously, when Haider had 20 subscribers, I was like, let me help you wherever.
Yeah.
And that's all that mattered to me. However, now my channel's died. Oh, well, it's starting to be okay a bit again, alhamdulillah. But when it started to die or stagnate, whatever you call it, plateau, no one wanted to know me. Because the truth of the matter is, obviously some people did.
And you tweeted this. I remember you tweeted it.
No, I tweeted it because it hurt me, because I didn't realize there were so many people that didn't want me to win. Because everyone was, I was under the impression that everyone within this community wanted to win. Because for me, it's never been a competition. Haider's overtaken me. By the way, I had about 700 subscriber lead on Haider, by the way. Not that's the competition, but it was back within that distance. And he's overtaken me comfortably. And I love this guy. Like, I'm happy for him. And it's not a competition. I want him to win as much as I want myself to win. And not everyone wants that from you. And the point I'm making is, what I learned from this struggle, so to speak, in YouTube terms, is that the real people, the people that are still checking on me, and they're there for me because they genuinely support what I do. Haider, Benji, Kojo, Bobs, Beaks, obviously my brother my brother, by the way, is an absolute fucking legend. So
is my brother, man. He does all the editing.
So much work behind closed doors. Honest to God, like, I can't thank the guy. He's my genuine reason for me continuing the channel. But all these small, like, not small accounts, but small kind of people within our community that we've got, I know they're the real ones. And obviously there'll be other people that I've not mentioned, so I do apologize. Sean's probably going to kill me later. But the point being is, with what Oprah Winfrey said, through struggle, there's an opportunity for growth. And in my lifetime, through this lockdown, the opportunity for me to grow was developing my own sort of understanding of who I am, what my purpose was in life, what my focus was. My focus ended up being on YouTube, which it sounds like it was similar for yourself. I know, alhamdulillah, you finally got your job, but you need to find those purposes. You need to find something to focus on, because if you sit there and you feel sorry for yourself, especially during these times, it will start to eat you up. So
you know what, something that really helped me as well. Someone who really helped me. And if anyone is a little lost, I mean, I'm telling you now, my parents are going to get divorced. We're having to sell where I live at home at the moment with my family. Their credit ratings are shot. It's screwed. Like, it's bad. It's been happening for 2-3 years. I'm moving to Dublin, so I'm leaving my family, and I've got I'll be here probably for another 6 months. Obviously lost my job. Personally as well, the girl I wanted to marry, like, we broke up 2 months ago. That was hard. 2 months to the day. 2 months to that's the thing that's hit me the hardest. That's why I went into therapy, mate. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. That week, I remember I cancelled on a few people on shows, and I never do that. You know what I'm like. I'm I'm relentless. I cancelled, man. And I'll be honest with you, that, especially with everything going on in lockdown, that coupled with everything, and you still got to put your face out there. You still got to go and be like, right, I've got to go and do this show. I've got to go and commit to what I committed with people. That has been tough. And the thing that's got me through that, honestly, if anyone is feeling like they don't have a purpose, and that's key what you're talking about, the purpose, but anyone doesn't have a purpose, listen to Jordan Peterson, go on to Joe Rogan's podcast, the best podcast, plug him in. He's got 5 podcasts, 2.5 hours each. Jordan Peterson is a psychologist from Canada, and he is just completely love it, Joe. When I'm in Dublin, we'll definitely catch up. Honestly, he's given me so much direction. Obviously, like, I am Muslim. I wouldn't say it's something I struggle with. Like, I struggle with faith, I'll be honest, and that's also difficult from how I've grown up. But he's someone that's just given me so much direction and thinking, don't waste your energy on people that don't want to see you do well. Don't waste your energy on things that aren't going to help you. But what you got to do is you got to find what you really love and pursue that. And that's really key. And there's a lot of people, and I was in that situation. I thought, am I going to get a job? Like, what am I going to do? I look at my bank account every single month. I get calls from creditors. My credit rating's gone. I mean, these are real things. It's going to take me years. I'm 25 years old. I'm going to have to work for 2-3 years to try and fix it. But when I found my reason to actually get up in the morning, when I thought to myself, yeah, okay, my life's pretty bad right now. No one knows it. I go onto Twitter and the mask. But once you find that, and he will help you find it in the sense where he allows you to just break things down and allows you to focus on small things to improve your life. It could be the smallest thing. You could get up in the morning and go, right, I'm going to write a to-do list to do this, this, and this. And you do it. 3 things to do in the day. Small little step like that, and it just helped me. I mean, I have depression. I have depression. Like, I don't think many people know that I have depression, and you know what it's like in the Asian community talking about things like that. You know how it is. Just get up, man up. What are you talking about? How has
that been for you? Like, obviously, you know, again, both Asian lads. I kind of said at the start of this video that for me, and I said to you prior to going, hence we were late because we were having a chat off air. Like, it's so important for me to have these conversations within the Asian community. You know, myself and yourself, I know we've noticed there's literally next to no representation within our community on this platform from what I've seen. Of course, there will be big. I know Adam McCall is Asian, but of course he's he's big. I know Rambo, I believe as well. He's doing fantastic work as well within this sort of scene as well. But again, they're too big, so we're not going to get opportunity to speak to them. But within the smaller sort of community, it's very difficult to have these conversations. Like, for you, how has it been? Like, where have you turned to? I know you spoke about, you know, going into therapy. You know, do you feel like that was your only way out because you couldn't speak to people within the community or speak to family members? Like, what was the reason for that?
So, my childhood is so I would class myself as someone who has a racial identity crisis, and that sounds really silly, but I've got a racial identity crisis. And when I explain that, so my grandparents decided to move out where I live, which is maybe 20 minutes from Reading, so half an hour, 40 minutes from London. So where I live is a really white area, so there was no, you know what it's like. Look, I'm not someone that goes and looks at someone and the first thing I see is, oh, he's white, he's brown, he's black. It's not what I see. But you know this, Usmaan, as someone who is brown, Pakistani, you still need people from your own culture around. You still need to grow up with people like that. And I grew up with all my cousins, 12 cousins. We all lived around the same area, 5 minutes from each other. But we'd go to school and I'd be the only brown person. So immediately, no matter how much you try and fit in, and this is reality the way I see it. I'm not saying everyone, of course, not everyone's racist. 99.9% of the people were amazing. And I've got so many white friends. I'm starting to have more brown friends, but I would just completely be in that environment. And, well, I'm brown, so I didn't always 100% fit in because I'm brown. So you change yourself for school, and then when you come home, you're in a brown household. So you act as a brown person. So you're going one completely different world to another like this, right? But then there's certain expectations when you're at home, right, to do certain things. But then there's expectations or things you want to do when you're outside the house. And a consistent sit, you know, this side. Eventually you sit on the fence. So my whole life I've sat on the fence. And you're like, where do I fit in? So you're looking at either side and you're assessing. And you think to yourself, why does it matter? You should just be able to fit in wherever you go. But that's just not how life works. You know how it is. It's just not like how life works, because I've got some of the best friends, and they're white guys, some of the best, the most amazing people. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, if you don't drink, Usmaan, you know this. If you don't drink, then you're not 100% included. You're not 100% assimilated. Okay. So when you're having to go through that, and then you don't know who you are, so you just struggle, and that's what caused a lot of my depression. Because I was like, well, you know, maybe it's just easier not to, not to get too involved. Like when you meet people, just keep them at arm's length. But the problem is that when you're at home and you're trying to explain what's going on. I mean, I'm lucky; my parents are really open about these sort of things. But you know what grandparents are like. Why is he moping around? Why is he like this? Why is he like that? he's fine on his YouTube channel. Why is he not like this in person? It's true though, isn't it? You know how it is.
Yeah.
You got to put the face on.
Bro, it's honest to God, the amount of times people have seen me on my YouTube channel and had a perception of me that is completely polar opposite. And I feel like from what you're saying is you felt like you didn't really fit in. Like you didn't technically fit in at home because you didn't feel, as you said, identity crisis in a sense, because, you know, you're Pakistani, but you've always grown up in a sort of what predominantly Caucasian area, white area. So you've always felt Caucasian minus the skin tone, of course. You'd identify yourself as that, which completely makes sense given that is what you've surrounded yourself with. You know, the company you keep is the person you become. So hence why people say you obviously have to have a crowd of people that, you know, want you to win, obviously that on the right path, etc. I completely get that, and I completely understand why you would feel that way. For me personally, right, it's hard to hear you say that in the sense that you never felt like you fitted in. And your point regarding the alcohol thing, right, just to give a bit of context, obviously non-Muslims, you know, in Islam it's prohibited to drink alcohol. Of course, I've never drank alcohol. Obviously, I won't judge a Muslim if they do. That's to their own. Everyone so does it their own thing, so to speak. But I've completely had the same issue at work. Like again, I don't need to go to where I work, but I work in a football environment, let's just say it. So obviously, lads, culture, hooliganism, all that nonsense. They love going for a drink, and I've joined them all the time. I've said I don't drink. I'll go to the bar or whatever to have some form of social life at work, because I always stuck out as a sore thumb, because within my work, what you just said is there completely resonates with me. Again, my work don't even know this. They're not going to watch this anyways. But if they do, listen, it's true. But I don't feel like I fit in our work. The only time I fit, and this is going to be really sad if they do watch this and they hear me say this, the only people I fit in with is the ethnic people, because they can relate to me. Oh, there's a Somali lad who's Muslim. He relates to me because, of course, he doesn't drink as well. But they just don't understand it. They're all obviously going for a drink. I don't want to do that. It's not my environment. Which, again, if that's the environment, that's fine. And I've always felt like an outsider at work, always, because I'm the only Asian there. And like you said, within your community, like, for example, if I see an Asian person, I know this is going to sound weird to a non-Asian person or a non-ethnic person. They might understand what I'm about to say here. But when I see an Asian person in an environment that's predominantly white, I feel a bit safe. And I feel a bit automatically, and I see in their eyes as well, they automatically come to me. I remember at university, so clearly I studied sports science and sports psychology. Man's got a degree in sports psychology, by the way, people. So, you know, I do know my shit. So I studied sports psychology. Ironically, my dissertation was on Jose Mourinho and Sir Alex Ferguson, comparing their sort of mindset and all stuff. But anyways, I digress. So when I started that uni course, I was literally the only brown guy in that course. And on the first day and on the second day, my now mate Keishan came into the room, and I was like, wait, there's a brown guy here. So it was just me and Keishan basically, and we could relate to each other from day one. And I hear that because I felt like I fitted out. I stood out like a sore thumb. I couldn't relate to any of their issues because they couldn't relate to me culturally. They couldn't accept me, not because they're racist or nothing. I don't want to say that, they're definitely not, but they just don't understand. Because we come from two different worlds. That's what it is.
And you try and bridge it. You try and bridge it, but they don't get it.
Yeah, look, don't get me wrong. I've got fantastic mates. You know, I'm a person that are, you know, white, basically, Caucasian, whatever your class it is, you know, ethnic minorities, whatever. But sometimes that barrier that they don't understand, and it's not their fault. And for me personally, I've always felt as an outsider. And that is just how it is, and I've accepted that. I've accepted that I'm never going to be a part of that. And it's important that I do want to emphasize that, okay, understandably, you know, we both felt like an outsider in certain scenarios. But what I want to emphasize is don't ever change who you are to fit in with the crowd. That's something I've never done. It's quite evident Haider's not done that as well. The reason being is if you start changing yourself and adapting yourself to the environment, you lose a part of who you are. And that's when all this sort of the mental side of it kicks in, and you lose who you are. Don't ever lose yourself to trying to fit in, because in the long run you'll start hating yourself. You'll be like, why did I change? I'm not this person. And then you'll start resenting the person.
That's what gets the mental health. That's what it does. When you're when you're not being yourself, and you're having to try so hard to be someone just to fit in. And that's the thing, Usmaan. I mean, look, I'm not blaming. This is not to bash white people. Like I said, my best friends are white. Some of them the most understanding people. You know, I've had situations, Usmaan, where I've been with Asian people, and they've been the ones that actually cast you said, "Oh, you're a coconut." They're actually the ones that have
I
crossed
get
me
it. I've
words.
got probably times.
And that's the thing. That's why I feel like me and you, there's this understanding there. I feel like, like obviously you're a little bit older than me, so you see things from me and you're like, look, I'm just going to guide him a little bit. You always do that. If you see something, you think someone's doing this to you, like, I'm going to guide him a little bit.
Joe's got, it's a good thing there's no drink.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. No, the thing is, you know, for me, I think what, like I said, I grew up in a really white area, privileged upbringing, very privileged. I can't even describe how grateful I am to my parents. It's really important to be grateful for these things as well, because there's always positives, not just negatives. But when people say, I see it's a lot on Twitter. People say, don't use, you know, don't. I hate when people use a race card with Pogba. That's one thing that annoys me. I'll tell you why that annoys me, because people that are saying this aren't ethnics and they don't know what it's like to be profiled. Okay, every time we go into an airport, you get stopped randomly, right? Every time.
I love it. Listen, I'm about to trim my beard now because I get shot.
Yeah, I trim my beard. I get a suit on, even if it's like a half an hour flight. You know, I just get this to Manchester, get the suit on.
Beard, I'm getting
Exactly. I mean, I'm gonna have a little trim. I'm just doing the old lockdown bit, but so no one knows, right, how it feels to walk into Tesco's and to be followed by the security guard, and you know it's happening. I honestly, about 2 weeks ago, the guy was brown. He was following me. I literally turned around to me. I was like, I'm not going to swear on your podcast, but I was literally like, can you know, off you go, mate. No one knows how that feels. No one knows how that feels. And you know it's happening. And I'm not bragging, 2 law degrees. I've got a master's in law. You know, I'm an intelligent person. I'm someone that, you know, never judges.
Like bragging to me, to be honest. I'm not gonna
well, you can take it how you want. But you know, no one knows how that feels. And then you walk into a cafe, like where I live. And this happened 2 years ago with my family. I've got two brothers. Obviously, one of them's the producer, and I've got another brother, and I've got a little sister. With my parents and my family, you walk in, everyone turns around and looks at you. And you're sitting there and you're trying to enjoy your coffee and whatever you're eating, and you just got eyes on you and you can't enjoy it. No one knows how that. Most people don't know how that feels. You know how that feels.
Yeah. 100%.
So when people say, don't use the race, I hate when people use a race card when it comes to Pogba. I'm sorry to say, but you're not allowed to say things like that because you don't know how it feels. Because exactly. And we know how it feels. I've had, you know, after 9/11 was when things got pretty bad for us. I remember my dad used to tell me that before that people didn't have bad views of Muslims. And how old is after 9/11? What, 6? So I remember a couple years after that, you know, being called a terrorist, this and this. You know how it is, you know, I was the only brown guy in the school. Oh, is that a bomb in your rucksack? These sort of things.
Bro,
and these are traumatic. These are it's traumatic. Like, and look, I have racial banter with my friends, but when people you don't like are saying it, you know, and like I'm saying, these are things that as you get older, and I think that's one of the main contributors of why, like, you know, I do have elements of, you know, mental health. Like I do have depression. I do have these sort of things. I do see a therapist. You know, but I'm someone that keeps it behind closed doors. I'm not someone that, and that's why, look, I'm sitting here and I'm being very authentic because I think it's important. It's not right for me to sit and go, oh yeah, you know, life's great, YouTube's going well. No, it's important to talk about these things because there might be someone listening who is struggling. But yeah, you know, like I said, all these things. So when someone turns around and says, you don't play the race card when it comes to Pogba, and that's why when I see the hate towards Pogba, and when the hate's so uncontrollable, it's so vile. You know that's not normal. Like it's football. Yeah. He wanted to leave the football club. He didn't do anything more than that. He wanted to leave the football club. So that's why I get upset when I see people say don't use the race card. Because I don't think anyone that isn't ethnic is not allowed to say to someone who is ethnic, don't use the race card. Because you don't know what we've actually what we've been through.
Unless you've experienced it, you can't really. It's like a guy's telling a woman how to feel for getting abuse online. Obviously, you know, I don't remember. Is it Moch, the Spurs fan?
She got so much abuse.
Yeah, she got a lot of abuse. A lot of it was just completely unnecessary. What she said in that video was so calm and casual. It's just a bit of banter, right? If people give a banter back, that's calm. But there's so much stereotypical shit that's been thrown at her because of those comments. And for a guy to tell her how to feel is not acceptable, because we don't know how it feels for women to try and get into this field of work and be respected and their opinions to be respected. Let's be real, guys look down on women's opinions in football 110%. So for her to have that thrown at her, of course that's not acceptable.
I still see her video come up on the timeline, and
Bro,
I've
exactly.
seen the one with Bob's. I feel sorry for her. Man,
Yeah,
I feel sorry. Look, I mean,
listen, just obviously, we'll come back to it in a second. I just want to ask you a couple of questions because I've kind of skirted over it because it's such a delicate topic. But, you kind of mentioned briefly that, and we will touch upon the race card as well, because I've got an example to use as well from my own personal experiences. In terms of, obviously yourself, you said you struggled a lot with your mental health and obviously going into depression and having, getting to therapy. For you personally, what was the first step for you to accept that and say, look, I need therapy? And also, what advice would you give? Because look, the whole purpose of this podcast, and I just want to say a massive thank you for being so raw and honest. I know Joe's put a comment in here, which I'll read at the end at some point, which is very sweet of him as well, and very nice of him. But what advice would you give? Because again, even if 10 people watch this video, one of them 10 people is struggling, like yourself or myself, what advice would you give him through those sort of difficult times to overcome that?
I think I'm someone that has been with my family. I've got a really good relationship with my brothers, so I'm very open with them about it, and we are very open.
Yeah.
So, my little brother went into therapy a year ago. He really struggles. The one that does all the editing.
Yeah.
Really struggles. He's had to move out. He's at university. He's had to move out just because all the situation at home's not great. But I look to my dad and I see someone who's maybe not happy with how his life has gone due to past. Look, your past experiences form who you are today. There's no doubt about it. What happens to you when you're younger and as you're growing up, if you're still upset about something that happened over 18 months ago, if you're still upset about that, it means you haven't moved on from it. And I had so many things like that. So many things that when I thought about it, it made me upset. And so I was very open with it. I just said to my mum, I said, look, I need to go and see someone desperately. You wake up in the morning. It was only last week. I woke up in the morning, my head was just pounding. I felt like I was just gonna hit someone. I was just so angry and anxious.
Yeah.
And it's never to do with the podcast. It's never to do with the fact I've got to go on and, big show. I do it with Rob, and I absolutely love working with Rob. He's amazing.
Yeah.
But he's got standards as well. He is where he is because he's got standards, and I never get nervous about that ever. It's funny, but it's more to do with. I was thinking to myself. I looked at my dad and I thought, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be 30 years down the line. So I took it into my own hands. So honestly, one of the easiest things is talking to a stranger about these sort of things. That's what I find. And just having that 1 hour a week where you can talk to someone and you just talk for an hour. And after it, I'm like, just relaxed. So what I would say is, if you're feeling like that, there's no harm. It doesn't make you look weaker. It doesn't mean anything. I actually think it shows courage. And my dad said that to me. He goes, I have a lot of respect for you for doing that. So for me, that's what I would say. Just talking to someone who hasn't got an agenda, who doesn't know you, who doesn't have a relationship with you, because it just gives you clarity.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Like for me personally, just from my perspective, what I did, I haven't seen a therapist, although it's something I've always thought about doing, because I felt like I find it difficult to open up. In the past, I used to be an open book, really. Of course, as you mentioned, past experiences of people doing you wrong, whatever you want to call it, snaking you, your trust goes in people. Of course, I've still got a close circle I can open up to, but I've just found it difficult. So the way I've dealt with all my sort of worries, a lot of my worries come down to, my biggest fear in life is not being successful. And this is aside from YouTube. I don't want people to think this about YouTube at all. Me and Haider both do YouTube as a hobby. We don't get paid. We don't get a penny from this. We just love it. And we've met amazing people, obviously, like Haider's mentioned earlier. But the way of it is, for me personally, what I've done is, and I do a lot of writing. Obviously, you didn't know I wrote poetry, spoken word, and all that stuff. But I always have to look at myself in the mirror. Basically, when I was giving myself advice and give my mates advice, I always tell them that whatever happens in your life, right, you can't lie to yourself. This was my biggest problem. I think this is a problem with people in society and people in life. You know, again, Haider is a perfect example of this. A lot of people will never know any of these things about you. There's some of the stuff you've told me today that even I wasn't aware, although me and you know a lot about each other and know enough about each other. But you'll never know everyone's demons because people aren't openly telling you, and which is completely fine, and it's normal for people not to open up. The point is, you can never lie to yourself. So I can go and chill with my brothers. Alhamdulillah, I've got 3 older brothers. Obviously, Wasim being one of them, and I got 2 others. You know, we've got a really big family, positive vibes and all that. Islamic family. You know, everyone's in good sort of spirit, so to speak, in that sense. And I've always had that support network. But the truth is, when I go close the door, I sit in my room, put my headphones or wherever it is, my demons will come back. And those demons being all my sort of worries, all my things that make me, you know, hate the person I am. I don't know, it might be my way, it might be wherever it may be, right? The thing is, you can never run away from that. So the point I'm making is you have to face things head on. You can avoid it as much as you want. You can distract yourself. People say, keep yourself busy, because it does help. Don't get me wrong. Keep yourself busy. But when you stop being busy, then everything comes back, because the truth of the matter is, unless you address the matter that is affecting you, it will never disappear. So mental health, if you're suffering from racism, if you're suffering from depression, whatever it may be, unless you accept it like Haider's done and you're honest about that, you can't overcome it. So for me, I had to sit down and be honest with it. For my personal way of doing that is writing my poetry, writing my thoughts, and obviously I will do a spoken word at some point already. But I write, and I told Keishan about this, and he's done it, and it's helped him a lot. I just write, I vent everything.
That's what I do actually, man. I journal. I've got an app. If anyone wants to do it on an app, if anyone wants to do an app, I think the app is called Day One. It's free. 2 apps, Day One and Gratitude. Day One, so I go for my 5K walk. That's another thing. I know it sounds so cliche, but generally going once a day, go and do something.
Bro, it's important. Man.
You have to. I'm telling you now, when I was going through the really difficult times, I'm lucky, you know, years ago, we got a few gym equipment and stuff like that. So during lockdown, I've been able to work out, and I just busted myself for 40 minutes. And I'm telling you now, it just helps you. But the problem is, and journaling as well, journaling every day and just write down how you feel. Just write until it's out. But the problem is, it's when you go to bed at night, isn't it? And it's like 3 a.m. Your mind is like this.
This is the point I'm trying to make here, that you can't hide away from it. As much as your day, you can have the best day, Rob, with all your mates, and you can put on this mask and say, yo, I'm happy. The truth is, when you get to bed, you can't run away from it. So my advice to anyone who's got any struggles, you got to attack the issue. So let me just give you an example. I forgot what I don't even know what to use. Let's just say my YouTube channel is completely shit. I don't know. I'll just use that as a scenario. And I don't really care what it is. Let's just say I'm getting 2 views in it, me and my burner account, and that's mentally affecting me. I've got to address that, and I've got to be honest with myself and say to myself before I can tell what's. Obviously, the United with my brother, that look, I'm feeling shit about this, and I've spoken to him on many occasions when I'm feeling down. But you have to talk to yourself first, because the truth is, and I notice this about people, all of my close mates, right, that I talk to, you can give someone advice. I can give Haider advice until I'm blue in the face, unless you're willing to help yourself. Somebody else can't help you. Unless you're willing to take that step and acknowledge that there's an issue or there's something that's eating you up, so nobody can help you. You have to be willing to walk the first step before you can walk a mile. Because I can't carry you that mile. I might be able to carry you the first time, but I can't carry you the second time or the third time or the fourth time. It's like the saying, you can give someone a fish, or you can teach a man. Obviously, I've butchered the same, but you can teach a man to fish, and obviously they'll be able to fish for the rest of their life. That the point being is, you have to be able to learn yourself. And my issue was, I was relying on too many other people. And again, I don't know what this is about other people. I was relying on too many other people for my happiness. And last year, I said, no, what? I'm not going to talk to. Look, I'm just going to be quite frank, honestly. My brothers, I'm not even talking this. But, like, for example, talking to people like me, I'm of age, and so I don't know about going. But it's meeting people, right? So last year was the first year, right, in a long time that I've not spoken to any female. practically the whole year. The reason being is because I noticed within those interactions when you first get to know someone, etc., I was relying on them for happiness rather than finding it myself. And the first step of finding your purpose, finding the person you are, is relying on yourself. You've got to be able to stand up on your own 2 feet, find your own
100%.
happiness before you can project that to the world. If you
100%.
can't project happiness, happiness will not come back to you. People say, I want X, Y, Z, I want a big car, I want a house, I want a beautiful wife. But what are you offering? What are you offering the world? Are you offering any effort to get that house or get that job or get that? Are you the perfect person for that, for your spouse, potential spouse, to meet you? If you're not that person that you are trying to find in someone else, then that person won't find you, because you need to be in the right place to meet the right person. So you need to focus on yourself, which is what I'm trying to get at.
Honestly, can I add to that as well? Because I can actually bring my personal experience in that. You know, like I said, I was in a relationship for 18 months. That's the thing. Yeah. See, I would love to be able to, I mean, what Ali's saying here, I would love to be able to be someone that could do that. Because I look at people that do obviously pray and stuff, and there is an inner peace there, you know?
100%.
But for me, like, I just can't connect with religion. I just can't. It's something I can't do. You know, I say I'm saying I'm a Muslim, but I can't connect. But thing for me with what you're saying about being happy with yourself is so big. And the first thing for me was that, you know, this relationship ended, and I was like, what have I, like, what's she done? Why she ended it? That's what happened. Why she ended it? And I got into a really dark place, and there was a lot of anger. But I was relying on her to be happy. It's mind blowing. The last 6 months, I was relying on her. It wasn't her job to make me happy.
Exactly.
It's your job to make yourself happy. And I connected my happiness with that. And I lost my job, so I was clinging on to that. Ultimately, that's what unraveled the relationship. And oh mate, I was like, right, I've got to sort myself out now. So one of the first things I did was, thoughts are going to come into your head, negative thoughts at night. But they're just thoughts. That's it. They don't mean anything. It's just your mind. Your mind just creates thoughts. Doesn't mean it's true about yourself. Doesn't mean you're a failure. Doesn't mean you're useless. And then really find that passion. We keep on saying this, but really find it, because if you've got something to do which isn't related to work, which isn't related to your responsibilities, that will just take you to another level, and you'll be more productive elsewhere. But that's the first thing. Like you said, be happy with yourself. And for me, I wasn't. These last 2 months.
What would you say you're missing? Because I've got a comment here from Ali. You've already seen the previous comment. He said, "Brother Haider, I want to help you find your peace through your faith. Happy to discuss." Obviously, that's a olive branch, so to be. But what gives you that happiness for you personally? Because I know what mine is. But for you, what gives you that thing that makes you happy and that makes you like find that in yourself? Because like you said, you were relying on her a lot, and that is so common to rely on you. Because of course, if somebody's making you happy, you're sort of in your brain psychologically or inadvertently, without think or subconsciously, if someone says happiness, that person or that thing is automatically attached to it. So for example, I could say, I don't know, my mum, for example, or one of my brothers or whatever it may be. If someone says, what is happiness to you, Haider, in this moment in time, what would you affiliate that with?
It's a really tough one. Very cliche, but having strong relationships with my family. So you talk about your big family network. I've grown up with all my family. You know what Asian families are like, and there's a lot of Asian people in the comments, and the ones that aren't Asian.
People's names.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the people who aren't Asian in the comments, you know, family is a huge thing in our culture, like massive. Everything's about family. Your family is family over friends. But since what's going on with my parents, you know, looking to divorce, and again, that's a taboo in the community. I see my mum upset every day, and she's crying. She's like, you know what, people are gonna chat shit about her. Let's be honest. That's what they do in the Asian communities. They talk. But I said to her, give it a week. Someone else will do something more stupid, and you'll be okay. But you know, you see these with my family. I'm cut off from the rest of my family at the moment because no one called us. No one asked how we were doing. So that was another thing that messed with my mental health. I was like, we're really struggling here, but none of my dad's family are talking. They're not calling us, asking how we are. So when you think then, oh, we're alone. So that's another thing. And then I realized, like, I don't need that to be happy. That can be sorted out another time. But for me to have strong relationships with my siblings, with my mum, my relationship with him is rocky right now. And that's tough. But to have those strong relationships with people that you can be so open with is huge. 71st curtain. But the thing for me, honestly, there's two things that make me so happy. And I would say, you know what? Football is not really a passion for me anymore. Okay, this is going to sound really crazy because obviously we do podcasts, but
he's a fake.
Since I disassociated,
he's
a fake. I'm just doing it for money. Like that's all the Bain people do. No, honestly, I love football. What I've done is I've taken the emotion out of it. When United used to lose, don't get me wrong, I still get upset when United lose. When United used to lose, I used to get so down for days. But I connected all my happiness to United. And don't get me wrong, United is everything to me. You know this. It's everything to me. But if United lose against Liverpool, I will be upset. But I'm not going to let it get me so down like it used to for 2-3 days. Because look, there's more to life. What's the last year taught us? There's more to life. And the thing is for me, so there's two things. I love learning about anything. Broaden like your horizons. I know it sounds really cliche, but I just love to learn about new things. And so podcasts, so many different types of podcasts. I just want to learn. So I just put my headphones in, mate, just go walk for 5-6K like I do every day. The other thing, like I said, physical activity. It just clears your mind. So if there's something that, look, the dream scenario for me, go and move to somewhere like Canada, go and live like near like these mountains, put those headphones in,
bro. Me
and go.
You and Lake Alberta, I'm coming.
Yes,
I know.
Yes,
I'm the guy.
Yes,
you need to
yes,
tell my
100%.
Instagram. I'm a nature freak, man.
That's it for me.
United Way, who's in the chat here. He lives in Wales, in the mountains, basically.
Amazing,
bro. His backyard is basically a mountain range.
That's amazing. I mean, that's the thing, though, Usmaan. Like I've taken everything back to basics. I deactivated my Instagram last week. It was just too much for me. Turn my notifications off Twitter, like I said. Just get away from that. It's rubbish, mate. It's not worth it. I feel like Roadshow coming. Yes, 100%.
I mean, Haider in Canada. That's a new series, but
you've got to find something to do. Even if it's like I said, it's so basic. It's going out and going for a walk, going hike. But it's something that I've always wanted to do. And so what I've done when lockdown's over, I've written a list of. That's what my therapist said. Like write a list of things you want to do. That's important as well. Have things to look forward to. 3-year plan. And my 3-year plan isn't I want to be a millionaire. I want to be the new Goldbridge. None of that sort of rubbish. Not that I want to be Goldbridge because he splits opinion. But I don't need that sort of thing. But you want personal contentment. You want a family. You want to be doing well in your job. You want to have good people around you. Things that are attainable and what actually means something. So I feel like this whole COVID situation, the podcast as well, I'm so lucky that we've blown up like we have. We're nowhere near as big as other channels, but got such good people listening. But for me, just take it back to basics. Life isn't about social media. Life's about just trying to find what you like doing, finding your passion, find that burning desire and just going and doing it. And it doesn't matter what anyone says. I don't care. If someone doesn't like my content, then they'll like someone else's content, and that's fine. And if you like my content, I'm really appreciative and thank you for the support.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I think I wrote something. I was just about to try and find it up now, actually, just as you were talking. I wrote something because obviously I do a lot of poetry and do a lot of spoken word. Sadly, I lost my grandma last November, actually. Wow, I can't believe how quick that's gone. So I wrote something in particular, actually, for a passing. It wasn't actually for her. It just I used it again for her because obviously she passed. I wrote it and it kind of emphasizes what you're saying, really. I haven't got it in front of me, so I'm gonna have to blag it off the top of my head. But basically, the whole thing I wrote is, first and foremost, life is short. Like, I feel like, I'm going to try and find it. I'm going to ask you this question while I try and find it because I feel like I want to do it justice. Just quickly, I've got to just put this on. Listen, can we not talk about that for a second? I appreciate this, I appreciate you saying that, but obviously, we'll leave that until a second. I feel like it's going to be a long show. The Green Devil saying, hey, lads.
Yes, Green Devil. Jimmy, how are you, mate?
Hopefully you do well. Positive vibes, people. Joe's put a dream move to Canada. Excuse me.
Don't worry, Joe. I've been in Dublin for at least 2.5 years.
It's good enough for you.
And if I like it, we'll see.
Yes, I'm just going to ask you this question, but I'll try and get it because I know it's on my Instagram. I do want to read it out. So you spoke about writing things down in particular. So what are some of the things that you've written down, and why is you writing those things down helped you mentally? Because you said that it's something that your therapist suggested and it's something that's helped you a lot. Why would you say that's helped you so much?
Because you can't keep things bottled in. you can look, you can offload to people. There's always people you can offload to, but you never ever 100% offload. Let's be honest. No one ever is going to tell their deepest, darkest secrets, their deepest, darkest insecurities. You know, I like people, like I said, people see I put on a positive persona, but some days I'm getting up. Sometimes I do a late show at 10:30 and I'm like, I don't want to do this. And I've had a bad day. And I'm like this, but I have to do it. And that's the thing. If I don't sit down and write, and I just write, when I write how I'm feeling on that day, I'll just write. And I'll say, for example, I'm having a fucking shit day. I'm having a really bad day. I'm really angry. I don't know why I'm angry. I'll say that sometimes. I don't know why I'm angry. I don't know why I'm upset. I don't know why I'm frustrated. But I'm just going to write this down. But it's so funny because then I read through them at the end of the week. And they're only like this long. I do it on my phone on the app. And it's so funny because you can see your progress then. And when at the end of the week, you go, right, well, this is where I was sitting 3 days ago, but look where I am now. And that's progress. And then you got to reward yourself for that. You know, like we all sit on Twitter, don't we? And I think Twitter is one of the, it can be one of the best places, but I think recently for me, you've seen the worst parts of society. You've seen.
Well, yesterday it was absolutely horrible from our perspective, wasn't it? Really?
Just anything and everything can be taken out of context. It's funny because two people can look at the same thing and have two completely different opinions, and that is the thing that boggles you. But that's humans, right? So for me, you know, when I write things down, it's just that I've written it down and that's it now. I'm not going to think about it for the rest of the day. And it's such small things, and it might sound so meaningless, but you know when you write things down, you don't think about it. Yeah. It's right, it's done. It's down there. Get on with your day.
If somebody saw my notes, right, when I was going through my most difficult times, they think, what the fuck? Like, excuse my language, but honestly, it's so deep. And a lot of the times, and look, if anyone follows me in my personal Instagram, you'll know that I'm a very deep person, and Was is in the chat. He will definitely. When you're with me in person, especially my family, I find it difficult. Sometimes my family and my brothers in particular, they'll be like, "Oh, look how deep you are on Instagram, but you're never like this deep with us." The thing is, for me, it's moments that thing. You have these in moments. Like, for example, right now, I can be open and genuine because we're in the moment, but it just comes at certain moments, and I have to write down. So this is what I wrote for the passing of a family member. If I can just get the whole thing up, I haven't got it all up, which is an absolute frustration. If anyone knows how to use Instagram on your phone, it would be a perfect time to tell me. On your laptop, give me. There we go. Go to post. Give me a second. Yeah. So I wrote this. Basically, when someone passed away, I'm trying to get it up. I was on waffling to you. I can't seem to get it up. I'll read the signers. Anyway, so yeah, I wrote this. The reason I wrote this is because I wanted to emphasize the importance of having some sort of perspective on life. So yeah, just like the wind, it will be gone before you know it. Just like the leaves grow in spring and fall in autumn, they will be gone before you know it. Just like summer turns to winter, the sun to rain, the good weather will be gone before you know it. Like the childish ways running around in the park will be gone before you know it. Life is a mystery. Yesterday was a history, and today is a gift. Obviously, in life, things come and go, but they'll be gone before you know it. So what I mean by that is, unless you live in the moment, you won't truly understand, because we're too obsessed with what's happened in the past. I remember just like yesterday when I was a kid, and now I'm a grown-ass man with a beard. Like, life goes so quickly, and we need to understand that we got to appreciate it. It's a gift. I know that last part is from Kung Fu Panda, but I truly resonated with it. Like, it's so true. We're always so fixated on the future. We're always so fixated on what happened in the past. We need to be happy in the present, because before we know it, it'll be gone. Like I said in this bit of poetry, like the good weather turns to bad weather within a day. It was snowing the day before in Sheffield, and today it's sunny. Like, everything just goes with the wind. And obviously I wrote that for someone that passed away within my family. Amazing, right? It's so true. Like, we get so caught up in life, in the rat race, and we forget what's really important. The most important thing is living, because before we know it, it'll be gone. Because the only thing in life, sadly, that is granted is death. Like, we have to accept what we have. And I saw someone say this, like, you know, in life, everyone gets dealt a hand. You know, I used to be into poker stuff, but this also resonates with me. Everyone gets dealt a hand in life. You can either fold, or you can play the hand to the best of your ability. Everyone gets dealt. You can get dealt. Obviously, this is a poker reference for all my poker fans here. You can get dealt a 7 and a 2, which is the shittest hand in poker, and you can still win. You still see people win with that hand because they play their hand to the best of their ability, and that's what life's about. Everyone gets dealt a hand. Everyone has their trials and tribulations. I guarantee every single one of you that was watching this had no clue that Haider was going through this stuff behind closed doors. But guess what? He flipping dealt with it internally, and he dealt with it the best way he can, which is putting on a brave face, accepting that he has to go to therapy to obviously, resolve certain situations in his mind. And that's the only way you can move forward. Because if you sit there and you dwell on it and you try to, feel sorry for yourself, which I have done. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not done it, because I have done this in abundance, right? I felt sorry for myself so many times. That's when you lose. There's people out here that have always got it worse. And like the one thing I love about what you said here, right at the start, I don't know if you said it before we came on the show, but what you said to me was that, listen, I'm going through X, Y, and Z. You labeled a lot of things that you're going through, which would be very difficult, a lot of people mentally to get over. But guess what? The beauty of what you said was that people always have it worse. And that's what this is about. It's about being grateful, and it's about loving yours. Again, huge J. Cole fan and all that. And he spoke about that. And again, it's kind of relevant.
Nah, mate, I love it. You got a little bit of photographic memory, mate.
He said in that, obviously, son, love yours. You've got to love yours, because someone's always got it better than you. If you're looking at other people that got it better than you, you'll never be happy. Another example, I've got 927 subscribe if you haven't.
Subscribe, get to 1K.
But if I look at other people, they've got more views, they got more subscribers. I'm never going to be satisfied. I'm not going to be happy with the house that I've got, the subscribers I've got. There might be someone below me, I don't know, 50 subscribers saying, oh, look at Usmaan, he's got this many subscribers. He's doing a collab with this guy. And in my head, I'm thinking, this is shit. Look at next man, he's doing this. If you constantly compare yourself to other people, you will never be happy, because the truth of the matter is there is always going to be someone bigger and better than you. And not in life, but in any domain. Kanye West could produce the best album he's ever done, one of his old albums, but someone's made more sales than him. So does that discredit his album? Does that discredit it? Absolutely not. But in his head, if he's saying all of a sudden, if he's like, shit, I'm not happy with his work, although at the moment he was happy with it because someone's done more than him in a monetary game or any other thing, that kind of defeats the object of what we are as beings. So a couple of things for you. First and foremost, you got to understand life is short. You got to look for the silver lining in moments, which is the second thing, which Haider's already alluded to. The third thing is, which is the most key thing, and we haven't really spoken about social media. It's the bane. I think social media is the worst thing at the moment. Comparing yourself to others. I've done it. I'm guilty of it. I'm not sitting here and saying don't do it because I don't do it. I've done it. And that's why I'm sitting here. I'm sitting here as a guy telling you, if you sit there and compare to other people, you will never be happy. I promise you. Only until you accept what you've got as a person and you're happy with them. Even if you have ripped shoes, you got to be happy. There's people in Africa with jack shit and they still got a smile in their face. So you got to be grateful for what's yours. So that's my personal opinion. That's why.
I mean, to add to that as well, this one is that, I mean, something I did. So, before I got this job, and this is my dream job, I've always wanted to get this job, but I got rejected from 7 interviews.
Can we get a congratulations in the chat, people?
Yes,
let's go.
But I got rejected from 7 job applications. I remember one of the ones I got rejected from, and I thought I'd absolutely smashed it. I remember just being really, really down about it. I didn't want to get out of bed, and I literally just turned around and I thought, no, like if I don't actually get up and do something about it, who's going to do something about it for me? No one's going to do anything about it. I have so much initiative when it comes to the podcast. I work so hard on that. Why am I not working as hard, or why am I not being as driven in those other areas? And what I will say, and this was my mindset, was that there's always going to be problems. I call it chaos. There's going to be chaos. And I've had a lot of chaos this year. But even when you solve one of those situations of chaos, there's about 10 others. So what are you going to do? You're going to run? You're going to run away from your problems? No. You've got to face them. And you're going to fall and you're going to fail. I've had really bad podcasts. People might not think they are, but I had really bad podcasts where I thought, oh my God, that went really bad. All of them, about 99% of them. No, I've had bad
I was
podcasts.
gonna say 100, but I'll give you that 0.1%.
100%, yeah, 99.9. I've had bad podcasts. People don't think it is. I've had bad ones, and I've come out and I've thought, yeah, this X amount of people have seen this. Is that going to stop me from doing another one? No, and that's the thing. I think what I find difficult, I'll be completely honest with you, is gratitude, being grateful. I find that very difficult. That's one of the hardest things. Like I said, I try and practice it every day on my app about anything. It could be anything. It could be getting up in the morning. I remember going for a walk and it was so cold, but it was sunny and I loved it. And I thought, I'm so grateful for the beauty of nature. But I've got to practice it. Half the time I'm faking it. So what I said, I fake it till I make it. I tell myself I'm grateful.
You have to, bro. You have to.
I tell myself, because it's about habits and repetition. It's like Man United's defense at corners, right? Why United conceding lots of goals at corners? Because bad habits become repetitive problems, repetition. So turn that positive, right? If you're practicing every day saying, I'm grateful for one thing every day, it could be anything. I'm grateful for water. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for my family. You do that every day. Eventually it becomes a routine. Negative habits become repetitive bad problems. So positive habits become good things. So that's the little things. You've got to start smaller. You can't just be like, right, okay, I've watched this podcast. Tomorrow I'm going to go and write a book. You can't say that. You start a little bit and you say, you know what, I'll write, read a book. Why did I say write a book? Definitely not. Read a book. I'm going to read a book tomorrow. Do 10 pages a day. Little things. And you'll eventually see you make little changes, 1% each day. That's what I do. But also understanding as well when to take a step back and be like, right, I'm doing enough. I'm just gonna relax a little bit. You know this, Usmaan. You're like, mate, you're doing too many podcasts. Yeah. Remember? You're working too hard. You're doing too many things. I completely cut it.
I remember telling you, it was like always happened. You were like, yeah, you were doing like 2, 3, and you were producing like 2, 3 a day, which were good.
Nah, man, my quality went down. Yeah, my quality went down. I lost subscribers. And so now what? Less is more quality. But like I said, for me, it's about, I'm trying to be more grateful. I'm not always grateful. I'm not at all. Actually, I think that's one of my worst points. I'll be honest with you. But I've accepted that as well. Like, I'm not going to be perfect.
You have to accept it.
Yeah, and since I've started accepting my negative points, I've got negative points, mate. I think when it comes to podcasts, a few of the boys who do the podcast with me, obviously who I've drafted in, they'll think I can be a little bit, I run it like a business. So if someone's not up to it, remember when I told you?
Professional, though, isn't it?
When I got it wasn't rude. I sat down with the person. And when I sat down with this person, I also didn't know what they were going through. So I found that out as well. So I haven't said, no, you're not involved anymore. I've said, look, take some time off. It's just about these sort of things. But that's the thing. It's about, understanding your bad points, which I have done, and accepting them. I'm never going to be perfect. And that's fine. No one is. But then also, if you're looking at Instagram like I was, and everyone does it, I'm a 25-year-old guy, I still look at it and think, oh, man, I'd love a Ferrari. But when you're doing that, and if it's affecting you, just deactivate. And I deactivated about a week ago. And it's so weird. I wake up in the morning, first thing I do, and I'm like clicking on the app, and I'm like, oh, it's not there anymore because I deleted it. It's like habit. And I was like, I'm addicted. Since I've stopped doing that, I don't even think about it now. It's been a week.
Bro, I barely use my Instagram though. It was the same thing for me. Like, you just constantly compare yourself, like, subconsciously without even thinking about it. And alhamdulillah, like, I would say my upbringing is very from I don't want to say a poor background, because it's not, because alhamdulillah, we've had everything that we've ever needed, but we've not got the best. We've never had the best of everything. So I've got a lot of siblings as well. So we just used to get on with shit. So in terms of like comparing myself to other people, like, it was never really a thing for me. It was more in my younger 20s that, like, obviously I'm a bit older than I'm 28 now. In my younger 20s, I realized Instagram is very, very toxic, man. Because you compare yourself to a 23-year-old, I'm 23, for example, and you look at another 20, this guy's got this car, this guy's got this guy's got that, and you think, fuck me, I barely got a job. Like, do you know what I mean? And it would eat you alive, because in your head, you're thinking you're a failure. So we're going to touch on, obviously, social media now, but I just want to get this comment on from Ali. We chase things that we feel are priority, but when we focus on faith, all things fall into place. Listen, I completely agree with that. The guys with less views or subscribers are realists. And Edward is also saying he writes poetry and spoken word. Edward, listen, my Twitter is there. Usmaan Talk United. Tweet me, bro. DM me, whatever. I would love to speak to you about that, man, because obviously we could share some work. I'd love to get you on at some point. But what Ali said, that we chase things that we feel are a priority. And this was my biggest thing, right? I know a lot of guys, because I went to Manchester Uni, right? Manchester Met before someone corrects me. So I went to Manchester Met, which is for the dumb people, before people say it. Anyways, I went there, right? And a lot of the people, because you're from all over the UK, now I used to meet a lot of people that are rich. Alhamdulillah, of course. And for me personally, it never meant anything to me, because like I said, I've never really had anything, so I don't really care about it. But the way I seen how it changed other people, because they didn't have that, like, or they were trying to compare themselves to that. And the problem with society is, and this is down to social media, we're so busy trying to chase a sort of false reality in social media, it really starts to affect us. For example, a 25-year-old, or let's just say a 25-year-old post, oh, I've got, in fact, you normally see a 22-year-old post, right? They say, I've got my first house at 22, what are you doing? And those posts are fine from their perspective. What pisses me off, right, is the fact that they go viral, them posts, because we shouldn't be celebrating that, because of the manner in which they're, and I'm not saying people shouldn't post their success on social media. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, it's almost like people are like, oh, that's such an amazing achievement. Yeah, it's a very good achievement. You've got your house and stuff. But at the same time, I feel like because we put on such a high pedestal, it's almost like people forget that that's not necessarily the thing that makes you happy. So, for example, you can have the biggest house, but you might not have love or family in the house. Like for me, alhamdulillah, again, Was is here. He'll be up to my brother. If the house before this house that we're living in right now, we had 3-bedroom house with 6 siblings and obviously 2 parents. Myself and my 4 brothers shared 1 room. And honest to God, apart from Was never sharing the cheesecake, pissing me off. We're hogging the match today, TV. I don't think I forgot it, right? But man, is that we were so happy. My mum, alhamdulillah, I'm always grateful. Always had a smile on her face. We've had next to nothing. And the truth of the matter is, unless you got love in your life, you can't have genuine happiness. Because the truth, so what's you greedy monster, Ali? Yes, he's greedy, Ali. Give him shit. He never would share with me. To be fair, I was only 7 or 8, so fair play to him. But the truth is, unless you have genuine love or happiness in your life, regardless of the commodities that you possess, them things won't give you happiness. And the issue with society is we fixate happiness with commodities. So you always
consumerism, isn't it? I've got to have this.
This is the point. I mean, if you see on Twitter, right? For example, let's just say Jesse Lingard. I know he's going through a difficult time in his personal life. People will say, "Well, I'd rather be crying in a Lamborghini," which is the most stereotypical thing to say. And I hear where people are coming from. I get that, but the truth of the matter is, you don't understand that person's demon. Just because they got money doesn't mean they're happy. Why do you see so many millionaires commit suicide? If they've got everything, look at Tyson Fury. That man that was a world champion, he had everything, bro. He was at the top of the top, and he went to rock bottom, 26, 27 stone, or whatever it flipping was.
Suicidal.
Bro, exactly. He went from one extreme to the other, because the truth is, he wasn't happy. And the thing is, people are chasing things like money, career, I understand why, but houses, X, Y, Z, women, cars, whatever it may be, if they think that is happiness, that is not your purpose in life. Your purpose in life is to find who you are and find how you can impact other people in a positive way. That might be charity, that might be doing good for others, that might be a career, but you can't chase worldly things because they're only temporary. They can be taken away from you tomorrow. Then what? Your happiness goes with them. That's not what you should be chasing.
And the thing is, as well, Usmaan, is you see people really invested in social media. Like you see on Twitter, you look, I'm each to their own, right? But I see a lot of people, I'm like, you spend way too much time on here. And I look at some people and I think you are like,
Haider, listen, if you
what's your life like outside?
If you want to take digs on me, Haider, just
tell me. But for me, this is when I knew that social media was poisoning me. I was out on holiday, let's say I was in Turkey and I was having a meal. I was sitting on a mountainside, and my first thought was take a picture and put it on my story for Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, why am I not enjoying the moment? And since I don't have that, enjoying the moment is such a big thing. It's what we said earlier. But my first thought, whatever I was doing that was fun, my first thought was let me show other people what I'm doing. That's so messed up.
Bro,
That's so.
I'm guilty of this
We all do it.
Before people say that we're not judging people, but again, this is like just to give you a bit of context. I do a lot of writing. Obviously, Muzz is in here, which is my best mate from nursery. I've known Muzz for 25 years, actually, probably as long as you've been alive. We've been mates. So he's like literally the day one. So he'll know in it. I'm a passionate guy, but I always write stuff down. And another thing that I wrote down, which is kind of what you're saying now, is, and I'm very guilty of what you've just said about this. I'm not judging people because I need to stop doing it myself.
No, not judging people, just pointing out what's wrong with me.
No, I agree with you. The thing for me, right, you'll see people go for dessert, right? Let's just use that as an example. People will be like, oh, let me take a snap. Like, why do I do it as well? And I was thinking about this the other day. Is like, if you actually think about it, because I don't use Instagram as much as I used to use it religiously. But if I go on Instagram, I check people's story because I'm just a bit bored or whatnot. And if you actually sit there and you deep it, does that need to be on your story? Like, I'm at shisha smoking shisha. What are the reasons?
Shisha's the worst.
The only reason is there, Haider, is to show people, isn't it?
Show people.
Because what other reason could it be? Why would you need to show someone that you're getting a lasagna and chips from Lahore? Like, do you know what I mean? What's the other reason that
no one cares?
Story? Because we all know what it looks like. Like, we know, like, okay, understand if you're on holiday and you're showing snaps, that's understandable. But everyone shows part of the life because everyone wants to show people they're doing something or they're out and about, they're doing something. The truth of the matter is, unless we stop looking for validation from other people, and although that doesn't seem like validation, it definitely is seeking validation from other people subconsciously, then we can't be happy because people are looking to other people and saying, oh, well, oh, look, she's doing that, they're out and about, what am I doing in my life? The truth of the matter is, that might be like 30 seconds of the day and the rest of it at home. But to portray the false image, which then it affects you because you care that much for it to affect you. If you couldn't give two shits about what other people are doing, it's not going to affect you. And again, what I was about to say, another thing I wrote is, and again, I'm very guilty of this, and I write a lot of my thoughts. I wrote this piece about a roller coaster, and obviously most of my pieces are analogy, and it was a metaphor for life, it's quite self-explanatory, but life is a roller coaster, as we know, ups and downs. But the issue with life is we never get off the roller coaster. When do we ever get off the roller coaster? We stand there and we say, no, what? I'm going to smell the roses today. And what I mean is not literally smell the roses, but let me take a step back. And let me be in the present and, forget obviously getting your phone out. Let me just stand there and acknowledge the roses. Let me get off this roller coaster and take a moment for myself. We don't do it. We're so fixated in the rat race, which is fast car or whatever it is, buy a car, buy this, buy that. You need to have everything, or we completely forget the purpose, which is finding yourself. That is, and obviously when you're older, you start to realize these things. I'm sure the people in the chat that are a bit older than us are sat here probably thinking, yeah, we already know this. Like, we've been there, done that. And the whole point is this podcast is for younger audience or whoever's watching this. Like, you need to understand that there's more to life. You need to sit and be in the moment. I think that's the issue with today and social media for me. We're so far at the moment, and again, I'm guilty of being on my phone a lot. I hear that, but we're not in the moment enough, Haider. Like, you hardly ever see people in the moment.
Here's how I know I'm not. Here's how I know I'm not in the moment. This happened even today, right? And I went for a walk, and if I'm listening to a podcast and I have to rewind it, it sounds the Forex life. So true. But if I have to rewind it, then I'm like. Then I know to myself, right, I need to be in the moment. It sounds so silly, such small things like that. But one of the biggest things, I mean, this is something that rocked me pretty badly when I was about 19, I would say, 19, 20. So I went and taught sport in Australia for 9 months after school. So I took like a good year off and did that. Amazing opportunity. When I got there, so where I was living in Sydney, there's this guy that I became really good friends with. And literally from day one, like, he showed me around. Funniest, nicest guy. Yeah. Absolutely, like, never ever saw him upset. And he was the last guy I saw when I came back home. So then he called me up maybe 2-3 months after just to catch up. And I was busy. I started university and things like that. Anyway, he ended up killing himself. He hung himself.
Wow.
And for 2 years.
Wow.
Like, I blame myself. I was like, if I picked up the phone, maybe that's why he wanted to call me. And from that moment, I realized that everything you see is it's not true though, is it? With people like I'm talking to you right now. I had no idea, like, you know, what you went through, what you've been through. You probably never knew what I've been through or what I'm going through. And yeah, and that for me changed everything. And that's why when it comes to social media, if you notice with me, and you've seen with me, and you're not rude either, but I'll never, like, I hardly ever engage in arguments, or I hardly ever I'll stand up for myself.
Same.
You'll stand up for yourself, but you never go out to troll people, to hurt people.
Yeah,
I'm the same. And that's why I don't do it, mate, because you have no idea what someone's going through, especially what's going on right now with COVID. And I always think about that person. Like I said, it took me 2 years to get over it. Blame myself for a little bit. But that's why when it comes to social media, obviously what happened yesterday with you, you did the right thing calling that person out. But a part of me in the back of my head was like, she's getting violated on the time.
Listen,
not by you, and I'm not blaming you.
No, I know. This is me right now. I'm going to be very honest with you. And if you're still watching this right now, I feel partly guilty for it. Although the post that I posted, right, I wasn't in the wrong to post it. Look, obviously, if you've been on my Twitter, you know what I'm talking about, because it literally is everywhere. Like, even Troops tweeted it, which blew my mind. Obviously, loads of huge Instagram pages tweeted. I feel guilty because the abuse that she's been getting on the back of that is nothing short of disgusting. Like, it's not that deep to me. Like, I posted it thinking it's gonna get 5 likes from, like, literally all the lads in the chat, like, in the WhatsApp group, whatever, and it blew up. And I that is part of it. Like, somebody said to me, like, again, one of my mates messaged me privately and said, if she commits suicide, Usmaan, then what? Like, literally put it on me like that. And I said, at the end of the day, I hear that, although I know it's not my fault, because obviously I can't, the way I feel is I can't deal with the ramifications of obviously social media, etc., because, you know, I couldn't do my bit. But I hear that perspective, and like you said there, you don't know what people are going through. Like this, I know one of my best mates, right, and I've told this story before on one of my podcasts, but I've not told it in detail. Is like, happiest guy I know, like generally, like proper charismatic guy, Saeed Ali Saeed, walaikum salam, brother. Yeah, charismatic guy, top guy, everything, and exactly the same as you. Like, he didn't commit suicide, alhamdulillah. Like, I saved him. Like, again, this isn't something I shared with a lot of people, but like, I got a call at 2 a.m. I'm deaf, right? In case for you people don't know how where hearing is, I'm deaf. So I don't know how I heard the phone. I haven't got a clue, because you can't wake me up when I'm asleep. But obviously, there's divine intervention on that day, innit? I woke up from that call. I got a call saying I got a call at 2 a.m. from the other side. I'm at uni at this point, right? And he's living on the other side of Manchester, quite like near Old Trafford, and I was living like Wimmy Road. If you're from Manchester, you know how far that is. It's far, like, it's very far. It's like an hour minimum or whatever. Anyways, it's far away. So I get a call at 2 a.m. saying X, Y, and Z is trying to kill themselves. They're like, they won't come down from. He was living at flats, like top of the flats, basically. And he was off, like, the railings here, and he's on the other side of the railings, basically. The other side is the floor, and he's basically trying to kill himself. I got a call saying, that's when you need to come. So for me personally, I was like in a state of shock first and foremost hearing this, especially from someone like that who I've just seen the night before, most charismatic person in the group, who's setting the world alight, who's literally the life and the soul of the party every single time. And I was one of the only few people that knew about it. It's still to this day, obviously I've not mentioned his name, but still to this day, nobody knows about this incident, because obviously it's not my story to tell, is it? And the truth of the matter is, like you said, you don't really know people. With Mary's situation, God forbid if anything happens to her, I will feel guilty, although I don't need to. Well, I don't know her on a personal level, so I would feel guilty.
Also, on that, I mean, on that situation, you know, with Mary, I think it's also the way she acted after, you know. I think when you're in the wrong, and this is important as well, and that I think there's an element of humility there as well. Like, when you're in the wrong, just admit you're wrong. That's it. Don't be so aggressive about it. And I think that's why when I, like, you know, obviously when I spoke to Holly yesterday, and I just thought, you're in the wrong, you've been caught out, just admit you're wrong. Don't have to go and attack people. But I mean, look, that's just, people can act the way they would, but I think you did the right thing calling out. But it always in the back of your mind, because you don't know who's going through what. And unfortunately with social media, you know, a lot of people, I'm not saying everyone who has anonymous, because I don't have an anonymous profile obviously, but a lot of people do have anonymous. Not saying everyone who has an anonymous profile is negative, definitely not saying that, but people do that because they'll never get caught. They can say what they want. They can do what they want.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you can never get away with it. And man, some of the comment. I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I did go through the quoted ones, and I did laugh at quite a few of them because you're just like creative. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, there was some. The one about someone saying this is soon as his love child. Maybe.
Yeah, and I died.
But yeah, there were some horrific ones as well.
The thing is, so as well, I also think people have responsibility to post, to be in control of what they post. You know, I think that's really, really important because at the end of the day, you're not a child. Now, if you put something out there which is going to get yourself in trouble, then you should be, you're a responsible adult. You should be able to deal with that. And there's all these things. Look, I honestly think social media is the crux. It is the basis for 95% of people's mental health problems because it makes everything on a much bigger scale, right? So like when we were younger, remember you'd go to school, you'd come back, you just spent all your time playing outside. My little sister's 14, right? So she goes to school, she comes back, she's always messaging all her friends, and you're like, there's no stop. Like as soon as you get from school back home, like you're just consistently in that bubble, and she's in group chats and her phone's pinging, she's glued to her phone. And I just think, man, like your childhood's been taken from you. Like you kids aren't kids. Like we were green around the ears. We were kids, you know, we'd go and play cricket in the garden. I remember my grandma's house, play cricket.
Bro.
So I'll tell you, 9 in the morning till it got dark. Me and my cousin, we just played cricket all day, played football. Like that's childhood. So, you know, these things like weigh in your mind as well. You know, we're getting older. We're both gonna have families soon. Like you think about these things, and like that's another element of, I guess, anxiety that comes with what I go through as well. I think, you know, if I can't even look after myself, I'm gonna look after someone else. That's the reality of it. But yeah, man, like I just saw yesterday. What I felt sorry for you as well because you were getting attacked. And
yeah, look,
you know,
regarding obviously the way I got attacked was, for me personally, I didn't really take much offense to it because, like, at the end of the day, it wasn't that deep for me because I didn't feel like I did anything wrong. But the issue was the fact that people on social media, right, and you know, her mates attacked me saying that, "Oh, you're doing this for clout," straight away without even knowing me as a person, which is understandable. You're doing this for a clout. You're doing this for views. Like, I was like, I literally replied saying, "Ha ha ha ha." I was thinking, what? I'm doing this for clout. The fact that was the first thing that came to your head says everything that's wrong with this society. People automatically assume that if you speak up about something, you're doing it for a certain agenda. I literally couldn't give two shits about clout. If she apologized to me tomorrow, I'd delete the bloody video. If she come out to me and said, "Look, Usmaan, look, X, Y, and Z, these guys are proper harassing me. Look, you know, it's mentally affecting me," I'd flipping delete the video straight away. I couldn't give two shits about that video. I was trying to apologize to her. She told me to fuck off. Like, people don't know the full context.
Yeah, she didn't.
The tweets are still there from my side. I did nothing there, right? If anything, I tried to resolve it on so many occasions. I tried to reach out to her. Bob's tried to reach out to her. He was so polite.
Oh, mate.
He was so polite. He tried to reach out to her. She blocked him as well and slagged him off. He was getting shit from her mates. And again, I'm not saying we're in the right. You lot can watch the video if you want to make your own judgment. The point I'm making is that people on social media, right, are so fixated on being right or perceived in a certain way that kind of overtakes their sort of moral compass and overtakes their sort of normal human being thinking. Obviously, if that's reality, you know, certain other outcomes would happen, like you potentially get into a fight, you exchange words or whatever may happen. Because it's social media, people just, of course it blew up because obviously people perceived in a certain way. But from her perspective, she just had to be the bigger person. Like, I gave the most fakest apologies. I'm not even going to lie. Like, you can see it. I was fully faking that apology. I did not mean a single word of that apology. But in my head, I thought, listen, I don't know her personally. As you just said, anything could be happening behind closed doors. I thought, I'm just going to drop it. It's not even worth my time. I don't need to project this type of energy. Literally, I was saying one thing and she took it other way. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to be the bigger person because my brother Ali always told me that from last engagement that I had, just be the bigger person and just allow it on social media. So I did it last time. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to apologize to her. It wasn't genuine. But she didn't know that because obviously it's just words and I'm not physically saying it. But she didn't want to hear it because in her head, she was like, "Oh, this is my opportunity to do X, Y, and Z, exploit him." Or she thought she was going to burn me and make me look in a negative light. That's all she cared about. And the funny thing was, it all started from her trying to gain clout because she was calling out Rans. And Saeed, again, I don't know Rans at all. I know Saeed.
I don't know why everyone thinks that you know what it is, right? This is what I genuinely think. people think that all brown and black people support Rance and Said. By the way, I've blocked Rance, I've muted Said. I know you know Said, and like I don't know him. I'm sure he's a nice person, but I don't agree with his football view. But I will never go and abuse him. Like I see the videos. Half the time it's Rance anyway. It's not even Said. But you know, I think that's what they think. They think that it's so. This is the thing. We're in 2021, right? And people still just like there's still those racial perceived segregation. You know, as what Bob said yesterday, you know, that he was talking about segregation, etc.
Yeah.
You know, people think that all brown and black people support Rance. It's a bit like with Pogba, right? People think we back Pogba up because he's black, because he's Muslim. Nothing to do with that at all. We just do what's right and wrong. If Bruno was getting the same abuse, I'd do the same thing. McTominay was getting the same abuse, I'd do the same thing. It's not about
But
color.
they don't though. They don't. This is the point though.
And that's where this race card thing comes.
But that's why it comes, because when Maguire, again, I don't want to bring Maguire into this, but when Maguire was going through his time, I was defending Maguire, saying, we don't know mentally, because the story that he said, if that's factual, then that's very traumatic. And I defended him. But when Pogba happens, he lost his dad. Gary Neville was killing him. Everyone was killing him in the newspaper. Man just lost his dad. His dad didn't even get to see him lift the World Cup. Like, do you know what I mean? His dad has been there since day one, and he's not allowed to see his son lift the World Cup. Do you know how much that could mentally affect someone? That could kill someone. Like, and you know, like for me personally, look, it's one thing for one people, one thing for another. And this leads me onto a comment that I got last time. I got very triggered on this, right? And people will say, well, look, you know how Mary feels. Listen, I know how Mary feels, hence why I feel guilty that she's getting this abuse, because in my nature, I feel guilty because I have a pure heart, but I feel like I have a pure heart, and I shouldn't even feel guilt. I've spoken to, again, I'm not going to mention people, but people that respect their opinions a lot, and people that if I mention them, you think, shit, I couldn't expect them to say that, but I have respect their opinions from me. They've said, Usmaan, you've done absolutely nothing wrong with the Mary situation. I respect them highly, but I got from a Pakistani Greek guy, right? He messaged me, yeah. Again, you've probably seen it.
I know who this is.
Yeah. So he messaged me saying this comment, and it triggered me fully, and I lost it. And I'll explain why. He was like, well, I'm Pakistani and Greek, I can say that to you. Well, you fucking can't. Because the reason being is he said to me, allow football, stick to cricket. And I said to him, right, if you're a Pakistani, you're claiming to be Pakistani, right? And our people have fought to completely, or trying to fight to overcome that stereotype, and you have flipping chucked it back in my face. And he was like, why are you getting so triggered by it? The reason I got triggered by it is because I've had to live with that stereotype. I work in a very predominantly white, not society, but field of work in football. There's not many Asian representation in football. And for a fellow Asian to say that, it's like a woman saying to another woman, get back in the kitchen when she's trying to make some football, some progress within the football field. That is so contradictory.
It's also picking and choosing. You know, if he's half Greek, half Pakistani, then he's basically saying that from a Greek. That's how it's looked, isn't it?
Even if he's saying it from a Pakistani perspective, the point being is, it's like our people are trying to break these barriers and break these molds, and you're here spouting that bullshit that's taken us back 100 steps. Like, why you like? That's the shit that I don't like. That is negative. And on top of that, you don't need to brush us with that stereotype. I've lived with this stereotype a lot. We've not really spoken about racism a lot. You mentioned it briefly, but the amount of times, that I've had to deal with this fucking bullshit in my field of work. This guy's Asian. You know how many times people looked at me like, there's a Pakistani teaching football. You know how many? I've had that so many. Look, you know, any ethnic, you can ask an ethnic brother, right? They know when someone's being racist to them or they racist. You can just sense it on them. I don't know what it is, but we can sense it. It is what it is, isn't it? And you can just sense the atmosphere or the vibe. Why is this guy coaching my kid? Obviously, after the end of the session, they have a different perception because they've seen the level of work. But prior, bro, the amount of looks I've had, I've been at Sheffield United for 5 years, bro. I've been a coach at Sheffield United for 5 years, right? And the amount of racist shit, that undertones that I've experienced, right, from a family club is disgusting. Not just from staff, within the community, because people look at me and think, this guy's got a beard, this guy's brown skin, his name's Usmaan, what the flip is he doing here? I get it all the time. And then this is what I mean, like, you have to uplift people. If people are trying to break barriers, again, I'm a nobody, but I'm trying to break that barrier for the Asians to have that representation. And for me personally, right, with the Mary thing, yes, I understand it's not acceptable what she said about Pogba. Also, what's not acceptable is the abuse that she should get. But on the flip side, when someone comes for me and is racist to me, although they claim to be Pakistani, I just find it disgusting because at the end of the day, you're basically just helping the people that are racist because you're literally giving them a stick to hit me with. So yeah, that's my personal thought on social media. Like for you personally, like obviously I know you've kind of muted all your social platforms, etc. Like, is that something that you're gonna think about undoing, or do you feel like it's like the bane of all that society?
You know what? I can't sit here and say that I get a lot of negative stuff, because you know what is blowing me away, and I'm so grateful, so grateful. What's blown me away is the response to the masterclass. It's been absolutely incredible. I used to get so much at the, I've had so much support from you, but even just random people, will drop me a message or they'll comment under saying this is this is one of the best analysis we hear after each game. My routine is to listen to you while I'm having my breakfast if they're in India. Such small things like that, and it really pushes you to go on, and it shows that there are of course there's good people out there. I think what I struggled with at the beginning, and you remember the incident that I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
There was that specific incident. You know me, and I don't go out to hurt anyone. I don't insult anyone. I don't disrespect anyone. That's not what I do. A lot of times people say to me, I don't reply to DMs. That's something that gets said to me a lot. Oh, he's arrogant. It's not arrogant. it's not the center of my life to be on Twitter. I generally use Twitter as a business tool. Do a podcast, tweet it out. Engage during match day. Like yesterday, obviously, I was quite it's a pure masterclass. You should be on Sky Sports. Maybe that's a dream. We'll see what happens.
Inshallah,
we'll see. But for example, I don't, and that's the thing that gets leveled at me. He's rude. For example, I don't reply to DMs, but it's nothing like that. It's just that, my life is my life. I'm starting to cultivate something positive after such a difficult year. Starting to move forward. I don't need to go onto Twitter and for someone to turn around and say, "Oh, you're like Rob's little brother because you don't know anything. He's literally leading the show." I get that. I don't get it as much anymore.
I was just about to say, like,
it's difficult for me to work.
From your perspective, how has it been as an Asian lad? Obviously, you get that throwaway comment as like
all the time.
Rob's little. Obviously, I don't want to use the word, but how is that been for you as an Asian? Do you feel like that's like because of this? I'm not gonna say because of your skin color, of course. But do you feel like there is some form of like disrespect there?
I'll be completely honest with you now, and this is not to not to be rude to anyone else, but I honestly think if I wasn't Asian, so if I was white or if I was black, I wouldn't have got a comment like that. I really do believe that. What I love at the moment, Usmaan, is I love how many successful white people. That's great, but I love seeing so many successful, black guys. We see Bob's doing amazing stuff, man. He's doing some great stuff. Biggs is doing great. I was on a show the other day called Never a Foul podcast. This guy called Tyrone's absolutely lovely guy. I think you've I've seen you like talk to him on Twitter before, but you obviously Cam.
What did you say? Sorry.
Tyrone. Is it Tyrone from Never a Foul Pod? Ty? Maybe you haven't.
Yeah, that guy. Oh, he's here.
Is he here?
What?
Hey, oh my god! I'm literally talking about you, Ty. I was just that is actually mental.
Oh shit! Yeah, he literally just messaged me yesterday. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was Ty. Shout out, mate.
Oh,
I was just
shit, seriously, you just that's
bro, weird.
His ears are bleeding, bro. Go on, keep shouting him out his ear.
Nah, I was just saying. I went on Ty's podcast, and I love the fact we're seeing, a lot of really great black podcasters and YouTube. It's really brilliant. But I think I do get a lot of comments because of the fact that there's not many Asians in football. Like we haven't got many Asian, or if any, big household name that plays.
Man United, by the way.
Zidane, yeah. Come on, we've got Hamza Chowdhury as well, who's decent. But no, look, the thing, what it is, Usmaan, I get a lot of abuse, and like I said, I've got some 99.9% of the listeners are absolutely incredible, but people assume that I don't know what I'm talking about. People assume that there was a phase, I think, because I had a different view on Ollie, and I was never abusive. I'm never abusive. I always said my view, And if it differed with, let's say, Rob's, and Rob has been incredible, man. Like, you know what? I've learned so much from him.
He's a legend.
He's a great person to do a podcast with. I've learned so much. And he's the one actually telling me, you know, turn your notifications off, just disconnect. And that's what's helped me. But, you know, I got so much, people saying you don't know what you're talking about, getting abused, you're a clown, you're this, you're that, you know, during the beginning of the masterclass. I wouldn't say it happens now. But that's difficult to take, especially when a lot of the production value is, and it's on my channel, a lot of production values, there's a lot of stuff that me and my brother do behind the scenes. We're the ones that make it look the way it looks as well. Yeah. I'm the one that prepares the questions. Obviously, I'm the one that, you know, as Rob says, I am the producer, essentially, you know, all these sort of things. But people don't see that. But I haven't got a blue tick next to my name. So my opinion doesn't mean much. And on top of that, to some people, because I'm BAME, and BAME people only do it for money, you know, that's difficult to take, man. But you've got to have thick skin. And now it doesn't really bother me anymore. But I can't complain, because the love, respect, and knowing and interaction with so many great people is what it's about. And I'm so grateful. But you got to have a thick skin to come into this game. You have to. And if you don't, I would really recommend don't do it. Honestly, if someone feels like if they do this and if they do get abuse or poor comments, or they don't get the views that they want, I really, for your own mental health, I would not go into this. And that's why anyone that puts their face out here and does any sort of podcasting, if they come on as a guest, even for one show, so much respect to anyone that does that, just because it's a snake.
I'm gonna flip what you just said there for a second, right? But let me just get these comments up, because obviously people think I'm Edward. I was literally just on Daniel's show just before I got in here. Tyrone, you can click whatever you want, bro. It does not disappear after I click end. It'll go into my YouTube channel. Obviously, you'll be able to find it in your notifications. Somebody else is talking about something else. But I'm gonna flip what you said there, right? Because I agree with what you said. However, I just want to see from another perspective, right? You basically said if you haven't got thick skin, obviously it's difficult to come on the things. What I will say is, right, and this is just me from my own personal experiences, I hear what you're saying, because you do have to have thick skin, because people are going to give you shit, especially if you say, as we've seen from social media yesterday, if you say something that people don't agree with, they will come for you or can't try to answer you or whatever. But my life lesson is, right, and I've learned this from YouTube, I've learned this from life, you can never please everybody. So what I will say is, although that is true what you said, I agree with that, you can never please everyone. So, for example, if you come on here, just say you make your own channel and people are giving you dogs abuse, like they were giving you abuse. And people don't know this. I know this because you told me. People were abusing Haider for his masterclass because he's Pakistani. I'm going to throw it out there. I know you won't say it, but I will say it. People are, because he's Pakistani, in the head are thinking, what is this Paki? I'll say it straight up. What is he talking about football for? Stick to cricket. Stick to taxi drivers. Stick to being whatever, X, Y, and Z. Stick to that bullshit. True, don't worry about that. You ain't nobody. You don't know what you're talking about. You can't question Rob. He's verified. He's a big timer. He's X, Y, and Z. We love Rob, so this is not a dig at Rob. This is just how it is from Haider's perspective. And that is factual. So, but if he gets those comments and he stops because it's so much for him, that means they've won. Because if they've basically won, because they've said what they've said, and that has affected you so much that it stopped you from doing your passion, stopped you doing for something you love to do, and you can't do that in life. Because if you ever listen to everybody else's opinions, you won't do anything in life. Because the truth of the matter is, when I started this channel, right, I was a nobody. When I'm doing this channel today, I'm still a nobody. But guess what? It doesn't matter, because this channel gives me purpose. It allows me to have focus. It allows me to benefit my ability to communicate and build relationships. And these are the things I hold dear. If I get 10 views, if I get 30 views, if people give me shit, they dislike the video, it shouldn't matter to you. Because the truth of the fact is, the only thing that should matter is your own happiness. Because you could, look at Marcus Rashford, right? Let me give you an example, right? For those of you that don't know Marcus Rashford, he's a young footballer, right, who is literally revolutionizing the government policies on his own. I have seen so many people on Twitter giving him shit and hating on him because of, why is Rashford doing this? He doesn't need to do this. Focus on your football. I've seen so many people saying, focus on your football. Don't worry about focusing on kids. He is literally helping poor people, right? And there's still people hating him. If that does not show to you, you could be Jesus, you could be a saint, you could be anybody. You will always get hate, because the truth of the matter is, the world is full of evil and the world is full of hatred. All you can do is project positivity and hope positivity comes back towards you. If it doesn't come back towards you, you've got to sort of obviously in Haider's point of view, he's dealt with it in a professional manner. For me personally, and I said it yesterday on a tweet, you don't deal with hate with more hate, because that obviously it makes it worse, and obviously an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. You deal with it with positivity. You take it in your stride, and that's it. You don't even need to have thick skin. Sometimes you just got to be happy with who you are as a person. If someone tells me I'm a fat bastard tomorrow, even if I know I'm a fat bastard, as long as I'm happy, it doesn't matter. If I want to eat the cake, let me eat the cake, lads. I know what I mean. Stop messaging me on WhatsApp telling me you're fat. As long as you're happy.
It's a good point, though.
You need to get to a point that, forget the thick skin, right? Just don't let people affect your decision making in your life. Because if you start letting a lot of people dictate what you do in life, you will never be happy. And also, you'll start regretting shit. And that's when you have even more demons.
Do you know another thing, though, as well? Something I do want to say when it comes to how, I mean, look, people see, they look at me and they say, like I said, I'm absolutely so grateful. I love working with Rob, but it's demanding. And people think, oh, well, you know, he's on the show and that's why I'm getting bigger. That's why I'm doing more. And, you know, even comments like that, if you're not thick-skinned, you have self-doubt, you know, and people don't realize the hard work you put in behind. And it's easy for someone behind a keyboard to abuse someone. But another thing, and this is a good point by Rich here, the negativity Rashford gets says a lot about those people. Something we have to remember as well is that what I'm blessed for is that I have, you know, thanks to God, I have so many like diverse listeners from all over the world. And that's what makes it so amazing. Best thing is I'm looking through the comments, they're firing through. You've got people from Manchester, people from India, like you got people from like Mauritius, America. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's like, this is one of the positives of social media podcasting. Bringing all these people under the same roof because they love Manchester United. But another thing as well is that, as Rich says there, it says a lot about people, the way they look at Rashford. Well, different people from different areas of the world who have different values will support the club in a different way. Yes, Jamie. They will support the club in a different way. So, for example, let's talk about the Asian community. Some of the most generous people, Usmaan. What was it? I don't know, same for you. My mom would always say to me, and one of my friends said this to me, actually, she you know, she's white, she's English, from Croydon. And she said to me something about, you know, Pakistani people, Asian people, is every time they're like, let's say they open a packet of crisps, she said she has friends that are Asian as well, and they always offer their food first. You know, like that's just something that's ingrained in us. You know, and you see like these little things in your community, and they're great, but other people don't see that. And you know, when, for example, like we support Man United, there will be some people who don't like the way we support Man United or what we value. I value what Rashford does. Like I'm saying, you know, food's important in our culture, sharing. What Rashford's doing for me transcends everything. There's some people that don't like that, what he's doing. Oh, focus on your football. And the problem is there's some people who support the club in a different way. And this is one of the biggest problems, because the way, let's say, I support the club, maybe it will be different from someone who's 45, white, who lives in Manchester. You know, for example, it might just be different. And I think at the end of the day, because there's so many different people are intolerant, and then that's where the abuse comes in. So that's what I struggle with, I think, when I'm looking at it. That, for example, the way you support the club is going to be different from the way Bob supports the club. Absolutely. From different way that someone in India is going to support the club. Doesn't mean it's better or any different. And
I was just going to reply to this because it's my cousin. This is cracking up. Usmaan, Among Us today. I'm playing Among Us. Chill out, relax. So basically, every Friday night we have a family games night. Listen, I've been ignoring all the WhatsApp messages. I think I'm dead because I'm normally the most active. Don't worry, Hamza. I'm coming on later.
That's so funny. But you know what I'm trying to say? You know, I think there's that intolerance, and what's nice is that when so many different people, I don't have like a target demographic. I'm sure you don't. You just want to create great content, and then whoever listens, and you want it to touch everyone. But I think the problem is that when there's so many different factions of the fan base and so many people thinking a certain thing, and then there's that intolerance that we were talking about a little bit earlier, I think that translates. So I think that's what one of the things I'm most grateful for, is that so many different listeners, and you know, everyone just enjoys United and they just enjoy it, and they're just listening, and no one abuses. And I think that's the difficult thing. The abuse is, I mean, I laugh at it now. When I get abused, I'm like, haha, blocked. And the block button is just getting abused by me, and I'm, you know, my list is growing.
This is what Mark said then. You can't get
it for everyone. Yeah, Absolutely. But the problem is, Usman, is that, you know, I do feel like it's going to be difficult for me to say this. I'm just going to say it. I do feel like sometimes we have to work a little bit harder. We have to work, maybe we have to go over a few more hurdles. We have to prove ourselves a bit more. Like I'm saying, with cricket, go stick to cricket. I've had that so many times.
The thing is, I used to be sick at cricket as well, you know. I used to play with Joe Root when I was younger. I don't know if people know cricket. You know Joe Root, obviously the England legend.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Joe Root. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's from Sheffield and he's from our end. Mark said, "Love you both. Hope you recover from another day, man. I'm all good, man. We were spoken about that anyway, so I don't want to delve into that to too much detail. I kind of just want to touch on a few things that you mentioned there in terms of, the hate. You kind of you don't acknowledge it as much. In terms of, at the start, I'm assuming it affected you at some point, as it always does. You have to, have that thick skin. You kind of mentioned that we have to work harder because of, who we are, the stereotypes that we have to fight within this field of work. I've got to ask really, and in terms of the Asian community, there's a lot of questions to ask here, but look, obviously I can go down that route. I just want to put Pakistanis in the pot. There's a lot of Pakistanis, I love you all, but you can say a lot about, why isn't there a lot of participation within the, Asian BAME community in particular, well, especially South Asia, Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, so to speak. Why is that for you? What would you say the reason behind that is? Do you feel like, you kind of mentioned that we have to work harder? Do you think there's more to it, or do you think it's the fact that we don't get the opportunity? Because I actually have experienced this, Haider, right? You're going to be disgusted by this actually, and I think I said it with Bob's, and obviously I work for Premier League football club. I work for Sheffield United. I don't know if I should be saying this, but it is what it is. So basically, I've said this to Bob already in a previous podcast. I'm repeating myself. So I've got to throw this disclaimer, right? This person no longer works for Sheffield United. They were the head scout at the time. So I get called into meetings. We get called into meetings regularly. So for those of you that don't know, right, I work in the community as a coach. So what happens is they usually use us as talent scouts here and there, because I do a lot of community sessions within disadvantaged areas, or areas that are predominantly full of people that don't have the opportunities, as you can imagine, council estates, that kind of thing, which, to be fair, a lot of gems are on there, so to speak. So we come into the meeting, right? It sits us all down. I'm the only brown guy in there. Obviously, we know that, and we already established that. I'm the only brown guy in the meeting. They're telling us what we're looking for in terms of scouting. So they sat there here, they got the board out. This is what we're looking for. We want someone tall, we want someone physical, we want someone, I don't know, who's going to grow into the generic English flipping scouting system. Anyways, so what did they do? I'm going to say to you, right, I'm going to tell you their criteria. You tell me in your head what's the first thing that comes to your head, and then they think about who they want us to scout. So they're looking for someone physical, someone tall, and someone who's got like a big frame. So what do you reckon?
Right, who they want to look for?
Who do you think? What demographic do you think they're?
Well, they're going to look for maybe a black footballer. I don't know. Or white footballer.
That's basically exactly what they're looking for. So it's quite evident, right? So this is the kind of terminology they were using in the scouting thing. Automatically, straight away, you are thinking, okay, it's probably associated to a black individual or African or whatever you want to affiliate that with. And for them, they thought that was okay language. For me, I'm thinking it's a bit racist, because it's quite evident who you're trying to describe without saying it, and you said it straight away. And I'm sure loads of people in the comments, I
hate it. They always say that.
It's this. They used to come. Yeah. We just in a show, and Daniel was trying to eyes on the ball, and I was literally going on a tyrant about how they used to describe Yaya Toure as just nothing but a physical being, nothing about technical ability. But I proceed. They started naming a lot of areas in Sheffield, and the thing about Sheffield, for people that have never been to Sheffield, is it's very segregated within sort of areas. So you get predominantly Somali area, predominantly, I don't know, Slovakian areas, so predominantly Asian, and so forth. You get the point. So they started reeling off areas. They reeled off a lot of areas, right? Some obviously predominantly white, some predominantly African, because of obviously the mantra that they're looking for. And when it came to the Asian areas, which is out where I'm from, so I'm born and bred in an area called Nether Edge. It's kind of more diverse now, but it used to be very Asian in terms of the sort of demographic within that area. Not a single word about that area. So, I'm like, I had to fucking ask, innit? Because obviously that's just me, innit? So I put my hand up, and obviously I was like, wait, what about these areas? Because we've got community sessions. I'm in schools in these areas. I do a lot of work in these areas because I'm trying to increase participation. They were like, nah, doesn't meet the criteria that we're looking for. These areas don't predominantly have good players. Now I'm thinking, so basically what you're saying is predominantly Asian people aren't good at football. That's basically what, obviously not South Koreans, etc., but South Asians, our people, basically. And that was the top scout at Sheffield United at the time. So if this is just one club, right? God knows what. And he had the audacity to say that to me, a brown person. Lord have mercy, what he's saying behind closed doors to all the cooking. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so, we had that guy. What was the guy, the chairman, the FA chairman that got sacked?
Yeah, Greg Dyke, wasn't it?
Dyke, that's like
yeah.
But look at the dinosaur fucking philosophy he has. If you were telling me, Haider, right, if that's the flipping the man,
that's at the top, mate. That's at the top.
Bro, there's literally no one above him. That is his mentality, bro. And people wonder why there's no Asian participation. And like we're never really gonna see that, and sadly. And thankfully, we have platforms like YouTube. Obviously, Haider being a Pakistani guy, and I don't want people to think, oh, he's only got Haider on because he's Pakistani. I've already done one with Bob's as well. But and if you're Caucasian, you want to come on, you're welcome. But the point being is, it's important that people like ourselves speak up for our communities, and we try to break that mold. Like we haven't really spoken about the taboo subjects in Asian community and mental health. Like I'll just throw it to you now. Like the issues with Asian communities. We can talk about there's not Asian players in football. We can sit and talk, oh, why is there not Asian players? But the problem is the Asian community is so toxic that we are stopping ourselves. Like
everyone wants to see you fail, man.
Yeah, I was about to say, have you had any experiences in that sense from the community, like hold you back or perceive you in a certain way because of the way that, for example, I can already guess some of the things that you've had thrown at you. Look at the way he talks, he's white. I bet you've had that about a million times in your life. That's what the Asian community is like.
Mate, all the time. And that's the thing, sometimes that used to cross my mind is that, this is awful, but sometimes it's not something I think about all the time. It's a split second. Yeah. Am I resonating with non-brown people more because of like the way I speak? Because if you hear me on Spotify, I guarantee you'd probably think I was white. I mean, that's what people have said to me before when they've heard me on Spotify. I don't know how to take that. Is that a positive? Is that a negative? Oh, you sound you're white. So what if I sound like what does a brown person sound like? Do you know what I mean? Like,
you don't sound like this, bro. Guess me, we need to go get shisha.
yeah, like that.
I say, guess me, I hate them, man. You speak so much, and I can't handle it, yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's a good impression. Now, you know what it is, right? I honestly think a lot of it stems from just think about our parents. So, what's really important to the older generations? Studying. They probably won't call us a P word, but they refer to us as Pakora for sure. Mate, I love Pakoras, man. They're amazing.
My mum, listen, when this lockdown comes, everyone's coming for food.
Yes, mate.
The whole shebang is coming now.
Let's do it, bro. But the thing is as well is that you got to think about the parents as well. Like you talk about taboo subjects, and I think where our generation is changing is that we are being a bit more independent, aren't we? We're not letting the stereotypes mold us. You got to get good grades. You got to do this. Mate, if I got bad grades at school, my parents would be on me like a rash. But then my dad was massive on sport. I used to play I played rugby. No one knows this. I played Southwest England rugby at under 18 level. Played a lot of football. Yeah, man, I used to love it. Played a lot of football, a lot of cricket, played hockey, played everything. But when I got older, sort of after 18, I still love football. But that's where my focus went more, and I want to do my coaching badges, but what's going to happen, Usmaan. You're in coaching.
Don't do it.
I'm not going to do it now.
I've got him.
But this is the thing, so I think one of the main things is that our parents' generation, that's all they know. Like they want us to study, they want us to go and do professions that are seen as much more as secure, I would say. So they don't support their kids. And another thing as well, Usmaan, is that when I used to play rugby, like when you go to mosque or whatever, people, oh yeah, this guy plays rugby, he's so white. They say things like that. So you're like, so when your own people are mocking you, they want you to not accepting people are different. Oh, he's white. That's such a white person sport. So when I think about it, I just think that the perception, like you say, and that's something that annoys me when people talk about black players like that. We saw with I don't know if you saw recently, Tim Sherwood said that Spurs need a player who's going to thread thread balls through, who's going to be good on the ball, who's going to be agile, who's going to be smart. And he goes, they've got Ndombele and Sissoko in midfield. This was like yesterday. They don't do that. Ndombele is literally that player. He's one of the most skillful, smartest players.
Let me guess, he's physical.
Yeah, which is what he said. He said, "Oh, they're just there to hold the shit for Jose Mourinho." Absolute nonsense. But that's the problem.
Man.
Yeah, but that's the problem. So if that's a stereotype for a black player, so they're saying that they're just athletic. Well, that's still a big part of football, right? You got to be athletic. So if they're saying that, then what are they saying? Like you said about the Asian players, like what are they saying? Are they small? Are they slow? They're not footballers. They're not physical.
We don't have that frame. It got coming from Asani, which is cracking you up. I got told to play Kabaddi. And the United way saying I should have been playing for England. Whilst you weren't that good at cricket. To be fair, Whilst told me everything I know about cricket, which says a lot because I'm shit. So that's a go of mine. He told me everything he knows. And
but the thing is, like, what is the entry? What is the entry for us then? I think there's, like you said, there's Zidane in the academy. I think we are not far from seeing an Asian footballer. I firmly believe that. But where's it going to change in the other areas? We talk about black coaches and managers, and there's a big problem. No one mentions Asians, and this is the thing, right? So,
bro, we do not get a mention.
No one gets a mention, and that's why when I saw,
yeah,
when I saw Bob's interview with Mochi or whatever her name is, the Spurs fan. Like, I didn't realize she was what is she? She's somewhere in Asia. I can't remember. I think she might. Yeah, I think is it Philippines, somewhere like that. I don't know. Don't cut me on that. Yeah, but she was saying the same thing. I mean, they've got Son. Son's obviously not from there, but he is South Korean. Yeah, but he's someone as well where he's now getting the recognition he deserves. I always say that if Son was Brazilian, he'd be Ballon d'Or contender. That's how good he is.
Essentially,
that's the thing. So we talk about there needs to be more black managers. Yes, 100%. It's a joke. Why is Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard getting top jobs straight away? Even Wayne Rooney. I love Wayne Rooney, my favorite ever player, but he's got a big job straight away. I never saw Wayne Rooney going into management. With all due respect,
it looks so weird to me.
I absolutely loved Wayne Rooney, my favorite player. With all due respect, he never came across as the smartest guy. But I mean, if he wasn't Wayne Rooney, would he have got that job? I'm not too sure. So I think there's a lot of barriers of entry for black.
If he was black, he's not getting that job. Let's cut the bullshit.
Well, yeah, but that's
look at Darren Moore, right? Look at is it Houghton? Is it Houghton?
Yeah, Chris Houghton's a good manager.
Chris Houghton's a good manager, right? And I'm not saying they deserve the top jobs. I'm not saying that for a second. But what I'm saying is they have to work twice as hard. You kind of mentioned it when you were talking about your podcast earlier, the masterclass, hashtag the masterclass, lads, check it out. You kind of mentioned it earlier, and it's completely true. Like, we always have to be the hardest working people in the room, because the truth of the matter is, whether we like it or not, within society, I don't want to say our people, but people from within our region, our look, or our sort of area, like they just constantly have to do more, because we have to overcome a certain step before we even is considered for a job or to have certain knowledge. And like it's same with women. Like women at the moment are going through this. I completely understand where women come from, because they fight so much to have a say. There's a lot of fantastic, like what's the name? Scott. What's the name?
Alex Scott.
Yeah, Alex Scott, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, she's really good. I tweeted about her yesterday.
She's fantastic at what she does, but constantly, she's having to do more than Alan Shearer, for example. Obviously, I know Alan Shearer is a brilliant footballer, so he kind of gets a free pass. But the point is, she has to do 10 times more than Alan Shearer to get any form of recognition, because the truth of the matter is, because she's a woman, people automatically in the back of their head, they degrade her opinion, and they don't.
I think it works two ways, though, Usmaan. I think that what's good to see is there's a lot of, you've just seen a rise of female YouTubers. I think that's brilliant. I think one of the things, though, is that I do feel like they grow quicker than, let's say, me and you.
Oh yeah, completely, yeah.
And I think that's also the other side.
The thirst trap,
because the thirst FC in the comments. So
where's our thirst FC? We're good looking.
Yeah. Where's our thirst FC?
We got beers.
But that's the thing. So like, there's the other side as well. So when I see some really good some really good female YouTubers. Like some of them are better than the guys, but also I think they get elevated to a level as well quicker than others. So I think it's not always negative for them. But I see with Asians, I mean, let's be honest, right? So I think there's an opportunity in this sort of field, new media, to move forward and to carve a role for yourself maybe in the future. But where are the role models, Usmaan? Who are we looking up to? Who are the Asian boys we're looking up to? There aren't any.
Listen, Haider, I spoke about this game, but I'm just going to read some of these comments actually, because people are saying Paul Ince is a rat, so I don't even want to mention his name. Saul Campbell also a bit for Pagan as well, because he just doesn't stand up for Black Lives Matter. Yeah, Alex Scott put you down. Oh, I haven't read that one. Oh, shit. I didn't even see the comment. I need to read the comments before. Chris Hughton's track record is incredible and never gets a chance.
Chris Hughton got sacked from Newcastle. Do you remember when everyone's thinking, why is he got sacked? He's a great manager.
Well, obviously, we know he's not going to get a Prem job. But listen, you spoke about representation here, right? And I spoke about this with Bob's. And this is kind of the point of this podcast, right? If you're watching this podcast, I don't know if everyone's going to watch all the duration, so I don't know if people are going to watch the end bit. But if you're watching it, the whole purpose of this new segment of this podcast is for representation of Asians in particular. Myself and Haider spoke, hence why we're late coming on air, spoke in deal, we kind of got carried away. The lack of representation within Asian media is something that we want to at least potentially change with our very small platforms. Obviously, hopefully this could work towards that and have some recognition. But the reason I say that is what you were just about to say. There's no representation. And the issue is people like, well, not the issue is, the sort of difference is people like Lewis Hamilton and, oh, sorry, it's Edward, you're right. It's John Barnes that's a disgrace. Sorry, I apologize to the other guys. It's John Barnes, actually. So I do apologize. He's a rat. But anyways, I digress. So we need someone like Lewis Hamilton, basically. For me personally, right, I love this guy with all my fibre of being, because the reason being, right, he's the first genuine black driver to achieve anything within the game. Or anyone of ethnic minority, in particular black sort of background. And we don't have that as Asians. As an Asian kid, right, growing up, the first thing I when I was a kid, right, the first thing I wanted to do was become a cricketer, because all I ever saw, because I was very sporty from a young age. I was fairly decent at most sports, in particular cricket. I was good at football as well, but I never looked at football as a potential career path, as you always do as a kid when you have those sort of dreams. It was always cricket first. And then as I've grown up, the reason that was because within cricket, there's Pakistan team. In hockey, there's a Pakistan team. So you automatically can affiliate or relate to those human beings. And within other sports, we don't have that. We don't have it in football at all. So as a kid growing up, we're never going to look at football as a viable opportunity, because why would we break the mold? This is why people like Lewis Hamilton are so important, because they're the first of many. Chris Hughton, the first of many to become a Premiership manager, if I'm not mistaken, a black Premiership manager. I'm probably
Is he the first one?
It probably isn't. I'm probably wrong, but he's probably one of the first. Like, he's probably top 3. So like people like that break the mold, and it's integral that people like this get our support, because without them, you're not going to be able to break those barriers and obviously overcome that thing. Like for the Asian community.
The other thing is, well, with Lewis Hamilton, it makes me so angry. I mean, he gets no credit. I've seen he gets in the.
All I saw was he's got a fast car. What about his partner, bro?
What? No, but what's that? What about Michael Schumacher? He had the fastest car for 7 years. I love Schumacher. I love Formula One. I watch a lot of it. But Lewis Hamilton, because he doesn't live in the UK, like the abuse he gets, Usmaan. And Usmaan, I'm sorry, I'm asking you this question, but answer: if he was white, would he get the same?
No.
Jensen Button lives in Monaco.
I was just about to say Jensen Button. But did he win that championship that year?
Yeah, he won one championship.
Right? Lewis Hamilton was not his teammate. It was Vettel.
No, his teammate was Barrichello, I think. This was years ago.
Yeah, but him and Hamilton were going back and forth that year, right? And
actually, he might have been,
Yeah, and obviously they were spotting Button. I wonder why. But they were spotting Button, right? He won it. They were flipping lauding like he's the best driver ever in history. And now, like you said, they're discrediting Lewis Hamilton. Why are they discrediting him? Why do you think? Like, if that's Wayne Rooney scoring a fucking hat-trick or some shit, everyone's talking about. It's the same. Look, it's the same as football. Like, again, this is my issue. Like, I don't want to use Mary as an example, but one of her defenses was that, well, nobody says anything when Luke Shaw, she just reeled off loads of white players. Why did she not say nothing about Martial? If she said, or no one says nothing when Luke Shaw, Martial, I don't know, Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, it was all white players. Yeah.
Then I would say, no, fair play, because that's been.
But the other thing as well is
all the white players, Haider.
Yeah, the other thing as well is what James Jackson tweeted after, and he asked me, did he do anything wrong? And he didn't. But what he tweeted out was he just simply asked her the question, Mary, are you insinuating? Are you saying that racism is the same as calling someone fat?
Oh, Jamie.
James Jackson. James.
Oh,
James.
James.
Jackson,
Yeah. He was.
So he quote tweeted and said, "So are you saying that calling someone Luke Shaw likes McDonald's, he's fat, is the same as when Paul Pogba gets racially abused?" He asked her the question, and she was like, "Are you calling me racist?" No, but this is the point, that unless you've been in that situation where you've been looked at for your color, you've just been pointed out for your color, you've been, that's what you've been identified by, that's what you've been abused by, then you can't relate. So this is why, when, like I said at the beginning, when people say you can't pay the rate, hate when people pay the race card about Pogba, there's a large section of people that really dislike Pogba because he's black. I'm gonna say it, and because he's a Muslim, and because he's someone that isn't the typical footballer.
He doesn't fit to that society sort of norms. If you're not in within society norms of what they class as a society norm, and this comes, and just before people think we're attacking that society, this is in Asian communities as well.
There's racism in the Asian communities.
It's everywhere. This is the issue. Without people say, only Caucasian people are racist or Asian people are flipping racist. This is the problem.
Racist.
This is the problem with our community. And
to other Asians that are darker skinned, they're racist.
Bro, they're like, Tamil or whatever. Obviously the dark, predominantly Sri Lankan. They get looked down upon because they're darker. Like, this is the issue. It's a society issue. It's not just obviously with white people or black people. It's Asian community as well. People are going to be put, because in Asian heads, the society or the norm within Asian community is you've got to sound a certain way. You've got to be able to speak our own language, which, to be fair, is understandable. You've got to be able to do X, Y, and Z. You've got to be able to have this certain job. You've got to be able to have this standard. You can't do X, Y, and Z because other people will judge us within the society. The problem with that is then you also become like you get discriminated by your own community, because in your sense people are going to say automatically he doesn't sound brown. He's a coconut, which in Asian terms, for those of you that are wondering, is you're a white person. You're obviously, a coconut is brown from the outside, but inside is white. So they're called coconuts. Which
you get called coconut?
It's pardons.
You get called coconut?
I have been, because obviously my ability to speak our own language isn't fantastic.
Mine's terrible, mate. I can't speak it. So that's a problem for people. They laugh at you.
But this is what I mean. You don't fit into in Asian society what they see as a norm. So therefore, you automatically get sort of obviously stereotypes as well. But you get hit with all this abuse because they don't think you're normal in their eyes, or you don't fit into society, and that's the issue.
That's where a lot of depression comes. That's where depression comes in. That's where a lot of my depressions come in. That's where the mental health stuff's come in, because are you born here?
Yeah.
You're born here as well. I'm born here. So this is we'd like to say this is our country, which it is. I identify as British, but
to be honest, I think you need to go back to your country, to be honest, Haider.
That's you, mate.
Straight to Canada, let's go, boys.
Let's go hiking. No, but that's the thing, that you get, this is our country, but the amount of times I've been told, go back home from where you came. My parents are born here as well. What I mean? This is all I've known. So when you don't fit into the Asian community as well, and then also you get told to go back home from where you came from, then where do you exist, man? That's where you get the racial. And this is the thing. So that's in everyday life. So you can imagine what it's like on the football pitch. I mean, I remember when I used to play football and they were tackle the packy guy. That's what they used to say. It's mind blowing, but people don't get that. So when I see what happens to Paul Pogba, I can feel my pain, my hurt from years of racial abuse, and it's not even anything said. Sometimes it's just a look. So when I see people attack Pogba, so with that vile hatred, the way that he gets attacked, where he just wanted to leave the football club, his agent said something harsh about United or rude about United, but the hate he gets, I'm like, that's not normal. There's more to that. And that's why my mind automatically goes there. So when people say, it's not about it's not about race. It's not. But for me, when I see people acting like that, and I've seen people speak to me like that, then I'm like, no, that's racism, or there's something there that's not quite. There's something hidden. There's something subconscious, because you don't speak to anyone like that, whether they're black, brown, white, whatever. You just don't. That's not right. So, you know how it is.
Yeah, it comes down to what people see as a norm in their society, in it. Because obviously, if you look at Graham Souness in his time, you'd say, in my day, we used to do things this way or whatever it may be. Well, you got to move with the times, old man. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, but in terms of just obviously just finishing now, because I got a feeling we could be all dying. Like for me personally, what I just want to say to everyone who's tuned in, first and foremost, not enough Asian for what was this? Not Asian enough for the there we go. Not Asian enough for the Asian community. Not white enough for the
that's
white
mantra of my
community.
life, man. That's my life in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's my boy Muzz, man. That's my homie since day one, man. Literally. I think, to be fair, Muzz is sometimes falling into that category as well, so I definitely know you can relate. He kind of sounds like you as well, but obviously he's Bengali, so he's kind of fallen into that category as well. I think for me personally, the thing I need to take away from this whole conversation first and foremost is that firstly, what we said regarding, obviously, overcoming, mental health, which was the main topic of today's podcast, is, for me personally, what I want to take away is that it's important that you focus on yourself first and foremost. You focus on finding your own happiness, not from exterior things, but interior things. Be it, like, in your sense, going for a walk, just to clear your mind, focus on the little things that would bring you peace. Some people find that in faith. Some people find that in other things, but you need to find whatever it is that gives you that peace, and you need to focus your energy on that. Do not focus on exterior things like a house, a car, money, women, whatever it may be, men, whatever you're into, or men to women, whatever it may be. Don't focus on those things, because if you put happiness into other people, when those things disintegrate or disappear or be removed from your life, that happiness goes with it. So for me personally, you have to find happiness within yourself first. Whatever it may be, if you got to face it head on. As Haider said, he's having therapy. First step, accept the fact that, he feels that he needs to speak to someone, and I completely respect that. I commend you for that. Nothing but utmost respect. There's that taboo in Asian communities, which I need to throw in here. I've not even said it. People think that you're weak for seeking help. People think that it's embarrassing to show emotion. People think it's not okay to be upset about things. Get over it. Pray, of course.
Be a man.
But sometimes these things don't help. It's okay to not be okay. Just remember that if you take anything away from this, it is okay not to be okay. Sometimes in life, right? Yeah. You can go through struggles, but you need to remember, everyone goes through struggles, regardless of what you see on social media. No one's life is perfect. That's just a facade. Don't go on Instagram and say, this guy's doing this, he's here, he's there. Listen, nothing in life is perfect. If you think that things are perfect, the only thing I would say from the beauty in the struggle, there's beauty in the struggle, because as Haider said already, you got opportunity from growth. He's looked at the silver linings. Oh, look, I'm blessed in other ways. I'm going to just throw this out here right now, right? Before this lockdown, I was broke. So in March, right, I've had a job for a time. I'm not even going to lie. Alhamdulillah, I've had a job for a long time, but I still had hardly any savings because I couldn't save money to save my life. So although it's been a shit time, alhamdulillah, I've got okay savings now. So that's like a small silver lining. But other things, we've had an opportunity to look at ourselves grow. Everyone's struggling together. There might be the next man that you talk down the street. He might be the happiest person on the planet. As I said with my mate, the most charismatic person in that group want to take his own life. Because sometimes in life, it's the happiest people who have got the darkest of sort of stories. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. So you got to be kind to those people as well. But also, you need to look from your own perspective. Find happiness in yourself. Focus on yourself first. And then when you're happy with who you are, happy with where you are in life, then you can find love. Because this is another thing in the Asian community. Obviously, I know you're not married as well now. Bro, the amount I'm 28, right, lads. I just need to let you guys know, right?
You're like 55 for Asian.
Usmaan, you're 28. You're not even talking to someone. You gotta be talking to someone. I'm not talking to someone. Women hit me. I'm joking. But like the point is, like, you don't need to, I was so fixated in finding that happiness and love from somebody else that I forgot to love myself. So remember that. I was so fixated in finding love that I didn't even love myself. Until you love yourself, you will never find someone. Simple as that. Learn to love yourself first, obviously, and whatever that gives you that peace. In Haider's case, walking, my case, writing. Find that thing first, and then good things will happen to you. Spread positivity, and obviously, regarding what we said as well with the Haters podcast, you're never gonna please everyone. If you want to go join, I don't know, gymnastics or ballet or whatever it may be, who gives a shit what the next one thinks about you? Flipping, go and do it. Whatever makes you happy, go and chase that thing. But yeah, that for me personally, that's all I'm going to take away from this. Also, so say a massive thank you to Haider. Obviously, Haider, me, or boys anyway. But I just want to say thank you for being so honest and authentic. This has been my best podcast.
I've enjoyed it so much. I could talk to you for ages.
I'm proud of this. I don't care if this gets 10 views, right? This is my favorite podcast without a shadow of doubt, because we've spoken honestly. And the reason for this podcast, if you watch this at the end, right, the only reason, because we know there's guys out there, women out there, I don't know, trans out there, whatever you sort of, associate yourselves with, that are struggling. Everyone's struggling at the moment. Whether you think that or not, every single person here is struggling at the moment. Nobody is happy in this lockdown. No.
And guys, just to add, like the year I've had has been, I never thought I'd ever go through a year like this. Like I said, so much stuff has happened, but just remember as well, like, you don't need to live up to any ideal. And that's big in the Asian community, as you know, this ideal of what you have to be. But also, this is how I approach the day.
Well, Haider, timelines, bro. They're the bane of existence, bro.
Yeah, you should, at this age, you should be doing this, Sammy. This is what you should be doing. Second thing as well is, like I said earlier, chaos. Like, life's full of chaos. Are you going to run away from it? You're going to face it. And you attract the energy that you give. I was being so negative before. I was so down, and then I was attracting that negativity. But if you're going to try and be positive, and if you're going to try and move forward, look, you're going to have bad days. I had a bad day last week where I was literally just like deactivated off everything. That's nothing. If you got Instagram and you're not liking music, just try deactivating. I honestly feel so much more relaxed. I don't have to get up and and I'm just fixated on an app where most of it's 99% of it's not true. So small steps, guys, and yeah, it's been one of the best podcasts I've done. I could speak to you about. Usman, I feel like I've got to know you so well as well. I knew you already, but I feel like I've known you.
I'm smiling because I love this guy so much. I knew this before, but I even love him now. He's turning me slightly homo, but there's nothing wrong with that. Listen, that's
another taboo.
I heard about the timely thing because I felt completely. I didn't mention it in the last podcast, and I regretted not speaking about it. I just got to briefly mention before we sign off. This is another thing that eats us alive. And I'm going to say this, right? And again, this is something that eats me alive. And I'm going to be honest. And I'm going to be very honest and put my heart on my sleeve. I'm 28 years old. When I was 21, I think I finished my degree when I was about 23 or something. I thought at this age, I'm going to be hench. I'm going to have my house. I'm going to be X, Y, and Z, right? I thought the hench thing's just a joke. I don't really care anymore, but it is what it is. But I thought my life would be set. Whether you want to admit to yourself or not, every single one of us has timelines. We think of our certain age, we're going to have this, we're going to have that, we're going to have that. And then we look at our friends. Like, a lot of my friends are married. Obviously, I'm 28. That's pretty normal. Some have got kids. Again, alhamdulillah, I'm blessed with them. It comes back to what I said earlier. Everyone gets a hand that they're dealt with. Everyone's hand isn't the same, as it's not in life. You don't always get dealt the same cards. It's what you do with those cards that is what is counted. And what I mean by that is, in life, right, someone will be dealt a hand where they have a house, they have all their shit together at 25. And alhamdulillah, that's a blessing from God. In Islamic we call it Makdub, which means destiny, and it's destined for them, is written for them. And I know in Christianity they have similar things where they believe in fate. Fate, obviously, things were written before we were born, etc. And that's just how it was. That path was written for them. And the point I'm making is, in your head, right, and I've wrote about this way before when I was doing my spoken word and stuff. My issue was when I was growing up is I was always comparing my chapter 1, right? So life is a book, right? Everyone's got their own book. Everyone's got their own deck of cards. I was comparing my chapter 1 to someone's chapter 10. So what I mean by that is, if I'm sat here saying, oh, I'm at chapter 1, my man's the same age as me, he's at chapter 10. it doesn't matter because everyone's story is different. Everyone has to write their own story the way they want to write it. Do not sit there and compare yourself to another guy that's like chapter 10 of the same age, because the truth of the matter is you might even overtake him, and it doesn't even matter if you never reach his level, because the truth is everyone has to walk a different path. Everyone's story is different. Everyone's hand is different. All you can focus on is playing it to the best of your ability. So don't worry about the next man. This guy's got a fantastic car. I'm driving this car. It doesn't matter, because sometimes in life, you can only deal with what you get dealt with. You've got to love yours, be happy with what you've got, be blessed with what you've got, and you've got to focus on that. Because if you, as we said earlier, if you're constantly comparing yourself to other people, you will never be happy. I can sit here and say, oh, I've got 8-bedroom house. It's nice, but this guy's got 10-bedroom house and got swimming pool. Well, there's another guy on the street that has got jack shit. Do you know what I'm saying? Life is about perspective.
Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. That's the key. That's what I say. I always compare myself to who I was yesterday. If I can do something tomorrow, which is a little bit of progress, that's better. I don't compare myself to people. Like, yes, Benji. I don't compare myself to people anymore. Like that's where social media has been really negative. I just think one of the biggest things, always just surround yourself with positive people that actually want to see you do well. Like we said at the beginning, Usmaan, because you know what, in this game and just generally in life, people look like they present themselves as if they want to see you do well, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people, the evil eye, the nazar that we talk about. It's real, man, and that's the thing. Just surround yourself with positive people that want to see you do well, because
people that want to see you win.
Yeah, because if you don't, and I've made that mistake early on, as you know, and it's like you got, it's difficult, mate, and you lose your faith in people. So that's the last thing I would say.
Yeah, no, just to wrap it there, man. Look, end of the day, spread positivity come back to you. Find happiness in yourself. Don't rely on other people for happiness. That is the end. And one last thing, actually, I keep thinking of things I need to say. This is what I wanted to say, actually. Sorry. This is for all those people that are at the rock bottom, right? And I want you to say this. Obviously, I will clip this at the end, anyways. If you're watching this clip right now, right? I'm speaking to you from a man to another man. If you're at the bottom of where you think you need to be, right? There's always light at the end of the tunnel. I can assure you. I don't want you to ever think that there's never light at the end of the tunnel. It may look bleak, and it may look like there's never going to be an escape, but I promise you, there's always a way out. And if you don't ever feel like you can get out, you feel like you're sinking, please, 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 please reach out for help. Reach out for help. There's no shame in reaching out for help and asking for help. There's no shame in that. The only thing there's a shame in is for not picking yourself back up. Don't ever feel defeated, because in life, everyone gets knocked down. It's about how you get back up. That is what character is built on, okay? In the hard times is where you build character. The best of people go through the hardest of times. Remember that. And whatever it is that you're going through, if you're watching this, whatever is going through, I wish that the Lord makes it easy for you. God bless. Reach out to people. My DMs are open. Usmaan Talks United. You can shoot out to Haider. You can shout out to Acting Joe, who's an absolute legend. Brother Benji, who's a pastor. Beaks, Bobs, any of the people within my family of our community, we are here for you. Listen, I don't give a shit what it is, what time of the day is. DM me. It's free. And we will help you, because that's the only thing we can do. I want to say that, finish off, spread positivity. God bless. Haider, absolute homie.
My pleasure, bro.
I don't even know what to say, but listen, make sure you show him love. His link is down below. Go to the description, right? All you've got to do is hit the link. It will take you straight to this guy's page, and you've got to hit that button. If it's red, make it not red, which I think it goes grey if I'm not mistaken. Make it grey. Make it grey again. I don't know.
Make it grey.
I don't know. I'm quoting Trump. That's not the way I want to end it. But listen, click on the description. Go to Haider's name. Subscribe to channel for fantastic content. Our DMs are both open. There's loads of people in the chats in there. DMs are open. At the end of the day, listen, it's dark times for everyone. Everyone's got struggles. Everyone's got demons. But the thing is, you can't give up. You cannot give up, because then they win. You don't want them to win. At the end of the day, don't ever give up. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. God bless. We'll be back next Friday, hopefully, with another podcast. Inshallah, obviously, the guest is available, all that. But apart from that, drop a like, subscribe to the channel for more. And yeah, show love to Haider. I'm sure he's got content coming in a few days. Obviously, might not get slap Liverpool on Sunday.
Yes, boys.
Leave that bit out. Leave that bit out. Whoever's clipping this. But yeah, it is what it is. It's been your voice, man. Peace, man. Haider, God bless, man. Thank you.